Well, this panel has been absolute cancer. Thank you for hosting it, Whick. So, I hate every single one of you.
It's like being insulted by a cute little child.
Can you shut the f up?
I have lost the plot.
I have a vision where AI porn and deepfakes are so ubiquitous.
I think that's sort of like a maladaptive behavior, though, and I think that you think that way because you watch porn.
You don't look at porn, then you're a freak.
No,
I think you're a freak. You can make a law, but you can't enforce it.
People feel bad about it. Oh my god. Some people could be wrong.
Oh god, people feel bad.
You haven't pointed to substantiate your claim that it's bad. You've just said it's bad because you have some moral hang-up, even though you can do it.
I was just debating. I was talking with my friends. What if I made like a deep fake of my own voice and then recorded it saying the N-word and then used that as a sound clip, but it wasn't me saying it, so I could just have that on hand.
We're gonna find out today. Okay, gang. But thank you all for being here. We'll start the panel and we'll get this show on the road. So I guess I'd start by asking each of you, right? Whether or not you feel that deepfakes are unethical or ethical, how would you feel if someone made a deepfake of you, passed it around to all of your friends, and it was something that you would never consent to? It was of you doing acts that were horrific, or you found horrific, or an abominable. And what would be your response to that? And why is it okay, if you think deepfakes are okay, for people to do it to others, but not to you? I'll start with Dooby. Go ahead. Appreciate
it. Depends, right? So if I think the person is attractive, I'm going to be flattered. If I think they're unattractive, I'm probably going to think it's like icky because I don't want to think about them masturbating. If it's just like, you know, deep fake of me like jerking off a horse or something, I think it's funny and I wouldn't care. Like I don't think any of these things have any kind of harm attached to them, so I just don't give a.
Okay. What about you, Portland?
Yeah, God help me, I'm with Dooby on this one. I've had a lot of people suggest a lot of horrible scenarios about things they could deep fake of me doing, you know, stuff they could deep fake of my children doing. I don't give a fuck. I think that, like, it sounds kind of funny. Would probably be a little bit...
For your children?
I'd probably be a little bit, like, confused and grossed out by anybody's, like, use of this technology to... like create sexual imagery of me, but I expect everybody to do the absolute worst with every bit of information I submit to the internet, and I think everyone else
Portland,
should too.
I don't believe you. I'm going to be real with you.
I know you don't.
I don't
I've heard
believe
you say
you.
that, but I don't care. It's true.
If someone made a deepfake of your kids, you wouldn't care? You wouldn't have any feelings at all?
What harm would it do? Do you think that, like, somebody's going to think that my 2-year-old... The harm is if there's actual, like, cheese pizza underneath the deepfake that real people created, and then my children are deepfaked over it. I don't care about, like...
Before we start arguing, just as
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Can we get through opening statements?
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, that'd be lovely.
Please.
I was done with my opening statement.
Fair. Okay. Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm totally finished.
Okay. We'll go to Tuna Chip next then.
Hey, so if someone made a deepfake of me, it would really depend on what they're doing and the quality of the deepfake. I think that deepfakes right now, if you made, you know, me doing something totally legal, not a problem. If you put me in a deepfake of doing something illegal and it was really high credibility, that's a form of defamation that could get me into legal trouble. I could go to prison. Fuck that. I think that the capacity of deepfakes to fraudulently eschew people can't be ignored. Like, if we have a problem with, like, fake rape allegations, what about fake rape videos? The future is not looking pretty for deepfakes. It's my take.
Okay. Stardust, what do you think?
Yeah, so the way that I view this is similar to how dudes jerking off to safe for work pictures on Instagram, right? Is it a bit weird? Yeah, it's really fucking weird. Don't tell me about it. But at the end of the day, as long as you don't tell me about you jerking off to this Instagram picture, I have no purview over your bedroom. But what I will say is when it comes to deep fake porns, it is very dystopian, as others have said. It is very weird. I think it's very weird to make deep fakes of people. But as long as it's not distributed, as long as nobody else has access to that, as long as that stays within your private life and it doesn't go anywhere else, I can't really say what you can and can't do in your bedroom, even if I think it's really fucking weird. And I think that it's the same as like the dude who draws weird hentai of you or something. Is it weird? 100% weird. So weird. Why are you doing that? Can I stop him? Not really, if he's doing it in his own personal time, not showing it to me and not showing it to anybody else. So
Okay. Let's see what Smeth has to say.
I think that it's fine. I think that what Tuna Fish was getting at is a totally different issue entirely. I think if it actually looks exactly like you and is indistinguishable, passable as real, and is sold as actually a video of you, that's beyond just a deep fake. That's like actual defamation and slander and harassment. But I think if it's clearly deep fake, it's clearly identified as such. It goes under the same category as something like a erotic fanfic of you, which is weird and creepy, can make you uncomfortable. But like, if someone makes an erotic fanfic of me, it's just like, okay, whatever. I don't want to hear about it. I don't care. Like, as long as I don't want to be part of it, you know, go ahead, do whatever.
Okay. KellyJean, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, the question proposed was, what if this happened to you, right? Just checking.
Yeah, and if you want to give your general take as well.
Okay,
like, what
well,
if
I don't have to say what if it did happen to me, so I can list all of the negative things that happened. So this was before sort of deepfakes hit, and it was also before I had a Patreon or an OF, so all I was like a cosplayer and streamer. I had people take and Photoshop images, and then I also had people just crop the heads off of random girls that had a similar type of body to me and say they were me. So they were like nudes, and then they make up lies about me being a cam girl in the past, which was negatively affecting sort of things like sponsors and stuff because I was just a fucking streamer. I also got on-stream harassment, even from a Twitch partner who admitted to it because he was on the same. We were both sponsored by Asus at the time. His ex-girlfriend called him out for being abusive, and that information came out with it. He joined my stream, him and his friends, and they made fake subs talking about this stuff to essentially embarrass me and torment me as I was live streaming. So I don't really need to think about what would happen. I already fucking know what did happen. But yeah, it affects you socially. You get a lot of preconceived judgments, and it's annoying when it's not on something you actually even do. And it's different when you're a smaller streamer, right? I wasn't a big creator. I'm still not really a big creator now, but it still costs a lot of money to get this shit taken down on the internet. Like, I probably spend several $100s a month getting this shit down. It's frustrating, annoying, tiring. So there you go.
Okay, well, that's the question, right? For those of you who are like, this is okay, this doesn't do any harm, this does nothing. There is demonstrable harm being done here, is there not?
Harm to the distribution, to the sale for profit, to the use of deepfakes to harass. There is nothing harmful about the inherent production of them or the consumption of them on a private personal level. That is basically the entire argument, and it can be applied to any form of image manipulation that's used for harassment.
You're fucking cucking me right now. You know that? You're cucking me.
Get at it then.
You literally fucking took my point, okay? So I was just gonna say, if you're using deep fakes of people to harass them, if you're sharing the deep fakes with other people, you're involving somebody in your sexual gratification who did not consent to being part of that. If it's somebody jerking off to my picture on Instagram, I didn't really consent to that either, but at the same time, they haven't told me about it, so I don't really fucking care about it. But yeah, if there's deepfakes being spread around that are being used to harass somebody, and just the very fact of them being spread around, period, is a violation essentially of you being involved. You're being forced to be involved in somebody else's sexual gratification.
And even more than that,
please,
when we talk about the way that pornography is being made and being distributed, even the creation of pornography doesn't have just one form of involuntary creation. People do hidden camera porn. People do really, really bad forms of porn when we're talking about like porn and all these things. People have been comparing these things when they use the word consent. They're just using the word consent. It's valid in the legal sense. It's not valid in this other sense. Consent is not needed to produce an image on a fucking hard drive and just keep it to yourself. That's like having a thought. Consent is needed to distribute because that is actually putting that image, putting out, and if it's realistic enough, putting out the idea that that really happened out into the world to be seen.
Let's talk about this.
The problem is most people are fucking stupid. Like this distribution of the AI porn that happened recently that sparked this conversation wasn't done intentionally. Like this shit gets leaked by accident all the time, and then it has a negative effect. So even if you put everything behind a password and you're really careful,
That's a
the
great
majority
point.
of people
You just
aren't.
make that argument
That's-
about
that
people
is
like
a-
having nudes of each other. Like
Well,
people
I
get
mean-
hacked, nudes get stolen and leaked, and people are still engaging in the behavior of like exchanging nudes with each other on what they intend to be a private consensual
I'm pointing
basis.
out that's why it's not necessarily safe to have them.
This deepfake forum we're talking about, like I'm under the impression that nobody really like was under the assumption or belief or nobody looking at it actually believed it was the real people doing the real thing. So it's actually like in that way, it's actually a very transformative thing. It actually doesn't look like something this person did, and now we're like, oh,
You really underestimate how fucking stupid some people are, especially boomers. They see things, assume it's real. It doesn't matter how bad it is.
What about
No,
the
no,
what about
not with
what
this
about the
big one.
porn
A lot of
actors?
people.
What about the porn actors and the porn actresses whose original work is being used? What about their original work? What about the porn producers who made the original work who are now getting no credit for that?
Absolutely.
As far as there's a lot of IP issues, but that's aside from the morality. We're talking about the morality of someone's visual we think that we have an entitlement to our visual representation.
I think we do, but I would say that like so the reason why I'm kind of taking in the neutral stance on this is because there are potentials for some decent uses for them, right? For example, it's possible that people can engage in sex work without ever having to actually do sex work, and that actually seems like pretty interesting to me and pretty groundbreaking, right? But at the same time, you know, the risk of somebody making deepfake porn, somebody making money off of it and not giving you any credit, somebody leaking this deepfake porn that you never took part in, that you never had any intention of taking part in, then you know that is a risk. But I think it's neutral because of that.
The way I see it, there are three tiers. There are three tiers of this use of the porn. There is one where a person could make it voluntarily and distribute it voluntarily, like Star said. Similar to that NVIDIA eye tracker thing, so that you're always looking, you're always interacting. Same thing could be done using AI to make porn yourself. Yeah, like you said, so you don't have to do the sex act. You can hire somebody else and have a contract with them if you want it to be ethical. The second one is that somebody does it using your face. They keep it to themselves. I don't think that anybody really has a problem with the first one. Some people have a problem with the second one. Everybody should have a problem with the third type, though. The third type is that you go out of your way to find someone's face, put it on the body, get it as realistic as possible, mass distribute it, and then use it potentially to harass somebody or get them fired from a job. Imagine a teacher has their face deep faked onto some porn. You send it to the school, and the porn gets them fired. Like, this is the shit that everybody has to take seriously. And if you're not going to take that shit seriously, then you're mental.
So, before, hey, stop! Before we go on, we do have a guest that wants to get in on this. Hello.
It's not Lav, is it? I saw her join the R for fuck's sakes. All right.
Hey, we're on those things.
Welcome.
Got no quality control
Hi.
here.
Hello, welcome.
Hi.
What?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Where to fucking go?
So I spent a long time the last few days, and previous to this too, actually, trying to think of a reason it would be wrong for me to like defake someone's hot mom onto porn and then like watch that porn and jerk off to it, right? Like my own like private consumption. And I couldn't find one, but I feel like that's like the easy question here. And I feel like the harassing somebody at work or whatever, sending that to their job, that's also like easy, right? Obviously that's bad. But I'm wondering like the Wick's question earlier really made me think, and I think it's like I feel like my position is shifting actually, because I don't believe that most people would be okay with somebody making like deep fake porn of a child, right? Using an adult actress, right? But maybe like her body looks, she's like small boobs or some shit, right? Or it's like a dude with a small dick. and you deepfake a child onto this, and you masturbate to this, I don't think most people would think that's okay, even in private consumption, right? And less people, I think, would obviously be okay with that for like public consumption.
I mean, Portland
so
said
I'm
he thought
wondering,
it was funny earlier. If it was
yeah,
his kids.
I'm wondering like, so I'm wondering like why. I mean, do you guys agree with that?
So
Do you think that it'd be okay for someone to make like private like stashes of like AI generated child porn for themselves? Do you
No,
think
I
that'd be
don't.
okay?
I'm not okay with that.
Why?
Because I think that's morally wrong to
Why?
even do that. I just think it's
Well,
wrong.
isn't it morally
But
wrong
why?
to do that to an adult also?
It's a little bit
I-
different, right? Though,
Yeah,
because a
no,
child.
it's not.
Sure, it's a little
No,
bit different, but it's still immoral.
Wait, hold on. It's not
No,
really
you're
that different
fucking
because
insane.
the adult isn't
No, I don't
consenting
think
to that
so.
interaction either. The
Yeah.
adult hasn't sexualized themselves or presented themselves as a sexual object. But
That's not the reason that putting the child.
you're making the decision to strip that agency from them, strip their identity away, and sexualize them yourself.
Yes,
regardless
my
of that
thought is
consent.
my thought
Which
is
is
my
and
thought is
the issue of
my
child
thought
porn
is
One
the
at a
issue of
time.
child
One
porn
at a time,
is
please.
that children cannot consent. So if the person isn't consenting either, whether they're an adult or not, it's the same shit. So I don't understand why you'd be okay with one and not the other.
I disagree. I disagree. I
I
disagree.
think
So what I think is that
Kid, you have to fuck a kid to make child porn. You don't have to.
Bullshit. That's not what I said. You're not paying attention, you stupid bitch. What I said is you're using child porn of an adult, right? An
And
adult's
we already
body.
got to
An
stupid.
adult's body. Yeah,
We
he's a stupid
started
bitch.
15
You're
minutes.
placing an adult's face. Oh, I'm sorry, a child's face on an adult body and pretending that it's child porn, right? And then jerking off to that in the comfort of your own home. Most people would not be okay with that. I think you're not okay with that, right? But you don't have to get for that to happen.
Unsettled.
yeah.
People
So
will be
the reason
They would say it should be illegal. Which is
the
why
reason
lolly porn is illegal in
why
most of the
I'm
United
not
States.
okay with it is because I think inherently the sexualization of children is wrong. I just think that it is wrong altogether, right?
Why?
Why? It's just wrong. I think that the sexualization of adults is okay in some cases.
Care
I
about the
think
agency.
I think one major problem is that we can't legislate some deepfake porn, right? So if AI porn, deepfake porn is able to exist and persist in society, there will be AI child porn. It's happening
that's
right now with
different.
the girl from The Last of Us. You
There's two
can't
different things,
legislate
though.
around just kid deepfakes. You can't.
But there's two
Haven't
different
even-
things. The AI child porn and the deepfake of an actual real child that's a real person. Those are two different things in my mind. Because if it's like it's not a real kid, like if it's a real person, like that's like like 10 years old, that could impact them in a way that's not comparable to a fake AI generated child porn image.
Wait, okay, but the fake adult AI thing, right? Or the deepfake adult thing could also impact the adult in a negative way. Right? But
And it often does.
But you guys already said you don't
We
care. I mean, we have an adult
want
here who said that
people
it
to use
massively
these tools
negatively
to
impacted her.
approximate
But you
child
said that you
porn
don't
and
care
masturbate.
that people are doing this in their own
The
home.
distribution of
Oh,
it
it's
is
a
what hurt
distribution.
her.
Yes,
Okay.
true.
That's
So
the
you're
distribution.
actually okay with somebody deep faking child porn up in their own home and keeping
Yes,
that and
but
jerking off.
fucking-
Okay.
I'm okay
private?
with
I
that.
want to.
I agree.
Hey,
You're
I
right
want.
for it.
No.
Let's
don't
get
need
some
to be
order.
arrested
Let's get
for
some
it.
order in this house. Kelly looks like she's about to burst. I want to give her a chance, and I would give Tuna and Smeth and Laugh. Go ahead, Kelly.
No, I regret wearing earbuds. It's giving me peak mental illness right now.
I
Like
apologize.
I don't- everyone's been talking at once that I don't even know what the current train of thought is because everyone's just screaming instead of listening to each other. So I don't know.
All right, next.
Basically, the objectively correct position so far is that it's actually deepfaking someone into porn is actually bad. For the same reason, doing it to a child would be bad. If you disagree, you're basically an idiot. Tuna
I think the
Chip,
problem
be
is with
super clear.
distribution.
Fucking argument. Your
Yeah,
fucking
so
argument when people feel bad about it. Oh my god. Some people can be wrong.
Oh god, people feel bad about child
Wait,
porn. Oh god.
victims
No,
are
no, no.
wrong.
It's
I
not the
don't know
same
if
thing
that's
as
true.
child porn because child porn is a video recording of child rape. Child rape is bad, and then to disseminate that video.
Wait, wasn't
is
his
to prove
hypothetical
the crime of
child's
it.
Wait.
a face
Yeah,
on
it's
an
like-
adult body?
Yeah.
Wait.
No,
Tuna Chip.
he's trying to compare
your
it to child
anger.
porn. I'm saying this is not child porn.
Okay, well,
That's-
I'm asking
you're
you,
right,
are you
you're
okay
right,
with
you're
somebody
right, but-
deep
I
faking
mean,
a child's face onto an adult
sort of
body
a
and
gray
passing this off
area.
as child porn?
If they pass it off, if they're trying to sell it,
Yeah.
Saying,
If
hey,
they're
here's
disseminating
deep,
it?
So,
here's deep
so
fake child porn.
distribution and monetization, I think, is what is the important part of this conversation. I
Yes.
don't think that you should be able to
It has to be.
distribute or monetize it.
Absolutely.
Okay, if I can, I just again, I would reiterate. I think because adults have the ability to have agency, it makes it different. Children do not have that ability to have that ever, right? That's why it's wrong. And that's why I would never be okay with that. But when it comes to an adult, like I can't, for example, an adult has the ability to have that agency at some point if they are confronted with the situation.
No, okay, but if that adult has not given you consent to do that thing to them, right, or do that thing with them hypothetically having the ability to consent at some point in their life, that doesn't fucking matter. If they have not given you consent, you don't assume the consent. That doesn't make any sense.
Hey, stop! I will start muting. I hate to mute, but I will start.
Stupid.
Stardust, finish and respond. Dooby addressed you. You can respond. Tuna. Down a notch.
Tuna,
please.
shut the fuck up, you dumb fucking idiot. Okay, so what I was saying is I think that there is a difference because adults have the ability to exercise that agency at some point. I think it does make it different. Children at no point have that ability to exercise that agency, and I think that also a lot of the times when adults are fantasizing about other adults, sometimes that happens involuntarily. Like
I don't think that makes sense, actually. Like I said, I don't think that somebody having the ability to potentially agree to an interaction or to being sexualized or objectified at some point in their life. I don't think that assuming that consent, you're basically taking the consent from them.
I'm not assuming the consent.
You're saying, hey, this person potentially can consent at some point. They haven't, but they could at some point.
Rape is okay. Rape is okay if they've had sex before.
Exactly. So understand that they haven't consented. It's okay to strip that agency away and sexualize them anyway.
No, that's not what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing.
Shape or form.
Okay, I want to.
That's not what I'm doing.
Respond really quick, and then Portland can get in. So respond really quick, then Portland can get in.
When people fantasize about other people, when people have crushes on other people, we don't really care about people's consent there, do we?
What if it's a kid?
Internal. That's an internal
experience.
So is masturbating. Masturbating is a personal, private, internal experience. There's no extension of your personal influence into other people's spaces by you masturbating, unless you fucking tell them or involve them somehow. It is a personal act. It is not an interaction.
I don't think that. Okay, I think that's half true. I think that's sexually objectifying somebody, even in your own thoughts, without telling them. I think it's harmful, and I don't think it's something that we should normalize. Because especially, well, let me explain.
Asexual pill.
Let me explain. So I think that especially in this context, right, in this context where you're basically stripping someone's agency away and making a sexual object out of them, I think that given that we exist in a patriarchal society, that kind of behavior, normalizing that kind of behavior and just accepting, oh god, 𝕎𝑕𝙤, men are going to jerk off to all their female friends, whatever. I think this perpetuates harmful patriarchal attitudes, leads to men.
Don't you think it's a little patriarchal of an attitude? Don't you think it's sort of strange that you take away all of a woman's sexual agency, though? Like, what if
women do this too? Women masturbate about men that they don't have the consent of.
Yeah,
but even that would be not okay.
But the sexualization of women is not a problem. It is making them an object. I think it's more harmful for the people who are in the deepfake, who are the body, not the face, right? Because that's their intellectual property being moved onto that's a whole different thing.
Dooby, how the fuck are you pro bestiality and anti deepfake porn? I'm so confused.
Wait, hold on. To be super clear,
How did you change so flippantly? What was it that?
He's trolling us?
One second. So first, I want to be super clear. I'm not pro animal. What I've said is most of you guys can't justify not allowing me to fuck animals. That's not the same as me being pro animal. I don't think you should fuck animals.
Okay,
secondly,
I don't think.
Secondly, like you said earlier, the reason I changed my position is because I think Whick's question made a lot of sense, right? So if we were to apply this to children, we wouldn't be as okay with it.
It's not okay when it's children. It's just not.
So you would be okay with it if you were you're saying that if you were younger you would be less okay with it? You said you would be okay with it immediately, but then now you're saying if you were a kid you wouldn't be okay with it. I think kids probably would be okay with it the same as adults would. It's not up to the kids to decide when it's okay for them. I think we need to protect kids, and that's the that's the scenario going on here. It's like kids are fucking horny. We need to protect them from their own horniness.
Just to be clear, just real quick, Smeth, I don't think that's what he's saying. And just for my edification, because if it has been what he's saying, then I have lost the plot. But what I think he is saying is that the reason we have a problem with things like child porn, or we would have a problem with putting a child's face on a human body, is because children can't consent. And so he is taking that like piece of information of why we think this is bad and putting it forth that people who have deep fakes made about them without their consent, why are we okay with that but not okay with the other? And he's asking you to square that circle.
This is now turning this is now taking like a lot of different things and combining them into one big muck.
Well, I think we're having a small conversation and Dooby's trying to have like a big conversation, which is like the fact that deepfake porn is actually a symptom to like a bigger problem in society, which is like the objectification of women, obviously. Because we live in such a pornified world and we're like constantly being like faced with it, like literally like in like everywhere around us, that we think it is okay to do this. And maybe it shouldn't be okay, because it does hurt people, but also we're all really horny because of the society we live in. So it's like sort of this like dance that we have to do that's like, okay, we need to be horny and we want to be horny, but also like this is actively hurting people. And what do we weigh? Do we weigh the harm over how fun it is to jack off to people? Or it's like...
We all objectify people. When you nut,
I think that's sort of like a maladaptive behavior, though, and I think that you think that way because you watch porn.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Wait, people start masturbating to the thoughts.
Do you watch porn?
Yes, people masturbate to their thoughts.
You
can think about your favorite celebrity. You can think about Pokemon and jack off, but the second that you're making videos of her, that's another problem.
Okay, but what if I'm just
that's an extension of the imagination? These tools are allowing you to augment your imagination unless you share it.
Sure, but what I'm saying is that our brains are so pornified because of our access to every video under the sun that we think that we should be able to do this, when I think we'd be fine if we couldn't. I think we'd be fine as a society if we never watched videos of people fucking ever.
If there was no porn,
if you share it, as if that was shared on purpose. It wasn't. People are fucking stupid. Shit gets leaked.
First off, the website was selling those videos. 𝙎𝙬𝙗𝙧𝙞𝙗𝙧 didn't share the fact on purpose, but people were selling those videos. People are selling.
Can I say something really quickly? Really quickly.
But he could have been selling them privately, and there could have been absolutely no one on the internet other than the guy that made them and the person that bought them, and it still got leaked because it was on his computer. The distribution doesn't matter. He could have been the one sitting at home photoshopping themselves, but he's the one that leaked it by accident. It doesn't matter if you bought them or not.
Yeah, what if they're on the internet but they're free? Like, what if they're on the internet but they're free? Is it okay then?
I think you have plenty of people who make weird fucking erotic literature and fan fiction, and people who make weird drawings all the time, and we think that shit's really fucking weird. But as long as they keep it to themselves, it's not like I can really do anything about what they're doing in their personal lives.
The potential for harm is a lot less with some text, obviously.
Yeah, but also
with erotic literature,
that doesn't make it not weird. But yeah, some text is not going to be as problematic.
I think
the issue is if you think it's actually a real video of the real person.
It's realist. Yeah. It's the realism.
But I have a vision I want to share with you guys. I have a vision where AI porn and deepfakes are so ubiquitous that your identity, like when you see porn, you're assuming it's not a real person. So this eliminates all the problems of sex work and all the fucking OnlyFans fucking exploitation and shit. And not only that, but like the reason that we don't care as much about like the erotic literature is because we've moved past that. We're like, okay, I can distinct myself from that
because
from
our brains are fried from video porn.
If I never had video porn, I still would have jerked off to. I would have jerked off. I would have objectified the women in my immediate life more if I did not have porn to jerk off to.
I don't know if that's true.
I do think that's true.
I'm going to disagree on the
I think
porn.
your brain from porn consumption.
That's bullshit. You guys can say that.
I understand where you're going with this.
We all have jerked off. So if that's true, your brain if that's true, that's absolutely
How
true.
often
If
do you watch
everyone on
porn?
this spin, I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to finish what I was going to say, then I'll answer that.
Yeah, your
If
brain's
this is true, if this is true, this is absolutely the case of everybody on this panel, and there's almost nobody that's immune to this. So you're not only making a claim about me, you're making a claim about yourself. You cannot be you cannot
I don't watch
so
porn.
you don't look at porn, then you're a freak.
No, I don't.
think you're a freak.
I'm a freak because I don't watch other people fuck. Like,
if you
how does that
don't
make
watch
sense to you?
porn,
Smeth,
if you don't watch porn, I
How
think
can
you're
you
a
say
freak.
that and say that
that
your brain
making
isn't
these
fried from
assumptions
porn?
about
Three people
people.
talking at once is making my ADHD want
You're
to
like
kill
so
myself.
fucking Coomer brained and hedonistic that you can't imagine that I wouldn't consume
Fucking
porn. Like,
hell.
what's wrong with
What?
you?
I think there's something
Yeah.
wrong with you.
No, Smeth, what kind of assumptions
I
are you
think they're
making?
just different sorts
you
of
are
people.
losing the fucking argument already by making these fucking assumptions about people. What the fuck?
Is
What
there a
assumption did
winner
I
in
make?
this?
No.
Does someone
What
win?
assumption did I make?
Hopefully I do.
Whatever.
Hopefully I win. But go on,
Listen.
please.
So the
assumption?
reason I'm going to disagree with the people that want to limit anything other than the distribution is mostly because the measures that would have to do so would harm women more than just letting people do it in private. We should
Explain,
regulate
please.
distribution, but the only way that you're going to be able to make sure that people aren't doing it in private is by having a surveillance state that is able to see what people are doing at all times, including women, which will
Bullshit.
completely get rid of the privacy. If we're talking about the right to privacy of people's bodies, talk about the right to privacy to everything they've ever
No
done
one
to
is
the computer.
That's
suggesting
ridiculous.
that.
Hold on,
That's
but
so
that's
stupid.
ridiculous on its face because you have the same issue with child porn.
It's more like there are
most of it is
consequences
done
for
in
when that
private.
stuff
Just real quick, let
hasn't
Kelly
affected-
most of it
have
is-
the floor. Let Kelly have the floor. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
No one is suggesting that we have to have some kind of surveillance of what people do in their homes. It's more that there will be consequences to shit if it gets leaked, like the dumb on Twitch did. You can't just be like, oh, I'm doing it in the safety of my own home because consequences don't exist in a fucking vacuum. It's such a stupid
Dooby is-
point. to
Dooby
make.
is saying that
We can make that same argument about
Wait, hold on,
anything
Tuna,
any adult does any
Yes.
adult does in the privacy of their own home, right? Like, oh, there's always a risk of somebody filming it. By this same thing, we could take the argument about people having gay sex, right? And be like, oh, well,
Awful.
your neighbor could film it at some point, and that could get out, and or this neighbor's kids could
These things aren't
run it.
comparable.
The
Gay
neighbor's
sex
kids.
isn't illegal.
Yeah, it's
should
not
be.
illegal, but it's not illegal. But I'm saying you can take this argument and use it, and you can take it to its extreme. And if the argument is, oh, the neighbor's kids might see it,
That isn't the
we
argument.
can apply
Hold
the
on.
same
That's
thing.
not
That
the
isn't the
argument.
argument.
Hey, let just real quick. Stop.
If the
Stop.
argument's
Stop.
about
Stop.
risk of
Stop.
exposure-
Stop.
If
Stop.
the argument's about
Stop.
risk of
Stop.
exposure, yes.
Stop. Dooby, carry on.
Yeah, so the reason I think that none of that made sense, and Tuna Chip, yours especially made no sense because you're stupid, is that we could apply all those things to child porn, right? So if somebody were to purchase child porn, not make it themselves, but just purchase it and have it on their computer, right? We wouldn't need a surveillance state to say, oh, hey, if we catch this person with child porn at some point, they're gonna get punished, right? We want to make sure that this isn't normalized, that we understand that this is a bad thing people shouldn't do, and if we find out they're doing it, there are consequences, right? That's how we reduce the probability that people in society are going to engage in this behavior. So it's a reason lolly porn. It's a reason lolly porn is illegal in most of the United States. So
Is
I
it?
don't think it makes sense.
Not
Yeah.
most. That's
So
not true.
yeah. Yes, it is.
You think
I'm not
stupid.
surprised. Hold on. I'm not surprised,
Smith,
Smeth.
this one.
Smeth, I'm not surprised that you know that. But yeah, you should Google it again. I
So
don't want you to get
why
into
were
any
you
trouble.
so confident? So then, if
You
I
Google
don't
it
know
again.
that-
I don't want you to get into any trouble.
Dooby, you think I'm stupid, but you made a disanalogous analogy here, right? What you're saying
for it.
is that two people, one person makes it and then they sell it to another person. That's distribution. That's exactly
not what I said.
people think. Yes, it is. That's
That-
what it
that
is. You
isn't at all what I said.
That is literally.
I
you
just
can
said they have it in
fuck-
they have it in their own
This
fucking
feels
home.
like
Shit, you James.
shit slinging. How do we stop people from distributing?
How do you stop people? You
Even
fucking
for
make
free.
it illegal.
Okay, but
Even
how
if
do
it
you
wasn't for
what is
free.
How do you
what do
stop
you
people
make
from
illegal?
making it? How do you stop people
what
from
do you
making
make
it?
illegal?
You make the sale and distribution of any sexual content which contains children and or the identity of people that have not consented it. I think that we need to make it so that all porn has a written consent of all of the actors, so we can get rid of revenge porn, we can get rid of fucking fake porn that is or not fake porn, the fucking like
Do you
the
think we
Andrew
can
Tate
do
type
that? Do you think
Yes,
we can
absolutely.
do that in a world like this where most of like porn sites basically are like predicated off of the fact that like most of these girls don't know that their videos are up?
No, they're
Or
based in.
it's
They're
like
based
China,
in.
and then
They're
Fortnite,
They're
they
based.
just get through the day.
They're
You
fucking
do an
based.
audit.
Oh
think
my
it's-
fucking god!
I think it's a
That-
beautiful idea, but if you go
What is the
into
point?
literally any like slightly
can't
less
talk.
popular porn
Nobody
site,
knows how to shut the fuck up.
still
here.
actually child porn like on there. Like I
Mental
just don't
illness.
know.
Yeah,
I just
that's
don't
why
know
you
how we
make it
actually.
so that you actually have to have it government certified.
Not every country on the planet works on the same sort of, system as we have, right? So the majority of revenge porn and other illegal things are held on host servers in countries that do not give two fucks. That's why they still exist on the internet, okay? It's not like for any other reason beyond this.
The United States could make it so that any servers which do not.
Oh yeah, the
obey
United
their
States is
internet
going to tell
laws-
Russia what to do. Right, alright, okay,
Yeah, no,
good job.
Do you think we're? I'm not saying tell Russia what to do.
Oh.
Let us. If you had the ability
Making
to
it
hear
illegal
two
doesn't just
strains,
fix
if you had the
everything,
ability
that's
to hear
my point.
two people talk at the same time and know what both of them said, you would be a lot closer to understanding this conversation, right? What I'm saying is that you just make
Right,
it so
it's
that
my
any
lack of
server,
understanding.
any server that is hosting illegal information based on the laws of the nation itself, the nation does not allow it to be distributed on their ISPs. You just make it so that
Okay,
server
but the nation
is gone,
also,
flip.
but the nation also makes it illegal to possess child porn regardless of distribution.
True.
Well,
Yeah, because child porn is currently made with child rape, but child porn is different than the thing that you're talking about, right?
Okay, so to be super clear,
Fundamentally.
you would be okay with somebody deep faking a child's face into an adult's body and jerking and having that in their own home, just jerking off to it.
As long
yeah,
as they
'cause
don't
they can do
distribute
that
it.
with their brain.
Can I ask
They can
a
do that with their
question?
brain. They can do it with the program. The only thing that makes it harmful is that it gets out into a world where the child and the actor are then able to be harmed by the consequences of its dissemination. If a person is jerking off to any thought or any image that they make themselves, they have done nothing wrong. Harm
That's not true.
requires a person who is harmed.
So,
I
so,
think-
you,
I think-
so
be
can we
harming
get
yourself
into
by
this
stop,
anti-jerking
stop,
off?
stop,
thing?
stop,
Anti-
stop,
Abuse
Stardust.
can exist without there being direct harm.
Stardust.
Just
Yeah.
because
Okay.
it
So
can
for
private.
people who are anti deepfake porn, what solution are you suggesting to this problem?
I mean, I don't think that I necessarily need to give a solution to point out that something is bad for X, Y, or Z reason, but consequences to doing the thing, yeah. Or are you asking what consequences specifically?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm asking like what consequences could we reasonably implement?
Similar consequences to what guys who send unsolicited dick pics or whatever that kind of minor level of harassment internet
But
shit is.
Oh,
Unsolicited-
so just accountability based then.
No, there are laws against that.
There are
I
laws
don't know
against
about the
unsolicited
US.
dick pics.
I
Yeah.
wish.
Should be.
Well, you're in
I don't
Britain,
know if
correct?
it's-
I am British, so
Yeah,
I
so
don't
the
know.
laws
wait,
might be
I think
different.
that's
There is
true.
some-
Yeah,
Wait,
the
I
laws
think
might be different.
there are laws about that in Britain, I think. That's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. They don't have laws about that in the US.
No.
Do the
What the
potential
fuck?
consequences stop people from doing things? No, but I mean, it has changed. People
What
do
are the
tend to ask me
consequences?
now.
What are the
Well, I think
consequences
an
of
I think in some
what are the-
states there are
what are the
there are laws
consequences
against.
of what are the consequences of dick pics in the UK?
Do you want me to specifically look it up?
Public hanging.
Well,
We don't need to. We don't need to. Hey,
California
stop. We don't need to go into
Firing
the.
squad.
I don't.
Firing
I'm gonna be
squad.
real with you guys. I don't care about the British law. I'm gonna be real. I don't care about the British law. It's interesting to note that it exists, but we don't need to go into detail about it. I wanted to give a chance, right? First
I mean,
of
my
all,
point
did you
was just
finish?
consequences. What those consequences
Consequences?
are doesn't matter.
I-
It shouldn't be encouraged, and it should be discouraged
I
by
wanted to give.
consequences.
I wanted to give space to Portland. He had some questions for Dooby.
Nobody
I don't
ever
think he
do
was
that.
able to get them out, and I wanted to give him some space to get that out, and then we'll continue on. So go ahead.
Dooby, you seem to just suggest that we should legally punish people who, if we find they created deep fake porn of someone but never distributed it or let it leave their personal possession. If we find out they did, they should face legal consequences. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, what about if it's just a really convincing photoshopping of a single image?
Same thing.
Okay, what about if it's a really convincing photorealistic picture that I drew and like produced by hand with like Illustrator and Photoshop?
I don't see any difference in the three things
Okay,
you just
so
presented.
that is a level of like control over people's agency and their ability to like create their own art that I think is completely impractical. You could never do this kind of thing because you don't know that like people don't have unique ownership of their entire image. You could create a photorealistic picture of a person to jack off to it without ever meeting the person that it happens to look exactly like, and then you'd face legal consequences. Like, this is an insane standard to set for how we would scrutinize people's individual art.
First off, I don't think. First of all, I don't think that's. I don't think.
Yeah,
it's outlandish
fucking when you consume it by yourself
because the exact
yourself
thing.
art. I'm
Please
sorry.
stop. The exact thing you just put forward is already illegal when it comes to like lolly porn or child porn, or things that look like child porn in the United States. So all I'm asking is to apply the same standard. This is a person who has not consented to be sexualized by you, who has not consented to have their likeness used by you for your content needs. So given that we understand that this person has not consented to this thing that you've done, right? If you do it anyway without their consent, and then they make you aware that, hey, I don't consent to this, please get rid of that. If you choose not to, I think, yeah, you should obviously be prosecuted. Like, I don't understand why we'd apply this, why you think it's outlandish to apply that standard to something like child porn, even drawn child porn, right? Like lolly porn, but not to this.
Yeah, the question is whether or not you have a right.
Depictions of children have unique ethical considerations because children are always harmed when they engage in sexual activity, whether they.
Lolly porn is not actually hard, like children
it's not actually
doing
children.
sex, right? This is
I'm aware of that.
It could be very realistic
but it's
porn of something that looks like a child that doesn't actually exist on the planet that is still illegal.
Yes, and it is encouraging the.
Sorry.
Okay, so when people
you're going to say that normalizes the behavior, yes.
Yeah.
How does deepfake porn of a person without their consent? How does that not also normalize the behavior of stripping someone's agency and consent away and just sexualizing them?
I think the child porn involving kids, I think, gives this more weight than it needs to me, and we're just gonna get stuck in this. But I think that an interesting thing to bring up and the question that this poses is, do you have the right to someone else's body in private? Which I think is interesting because since the dawn of being able to take photographs of people, we have had access to that, even though, of pictures, paparazzi pictures or whatever, of, pictures that someone is doing, sorry, that they don't necessarily want to get out, and we still have access to that. Is that the same thing? It's probably weighted pretty similar, honestly, except there's a sexual component, which we know is like shamed by society. So I don't know how much weight that has.
And to add to this, keep in mind that many times this comes with public figures, people whose public image is out and they're by design. I want people to see me. I want people to look at me. I want people to view my show. I want people to have my image in their head when they think about great shows, right? Or shit shows even, right? Just think about me, gang. But, like, to what extent do we give up our rights to our image when it comes to what other people do with it? Like, I can't control what people think about me, right? So I can't control if someone thinks I'm an asshole, right? If someone doesn't like me, if someone thinks I'm a bad person, and in their head, they're like, oh, Whick's a fucking asshole. I cannot control what they think. So when it comes to controlling what they think about me sexually, when they control what they think about me sexually, why do I have any control over that? And I don't think I do, and nor should I, and to be very clear.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, having control over how people think about you, one, it requires like thought policing. It's impossible. And if there was mind reading technology, that would be an invasion of privacy much more severe than
nobody's suggesting that.
I think philosophy wise, we all agree that like jacking off to someone without their consent is probably like morally not great. I think the point is that we're trying to reduce harm, right? We're trying to find a discussion on like what reduces harm.
Great.
So I think because we can't, I don't trust that it will ever be illegal to deepfake, or that it will ever be illegal to,
Before you go too far,
I don't trust that you will be able to make deepfakes and that they will actually be, penalized for distribution. I don't trust that will ever happen.
Before you go too far with this, I just want to point out that your statement that we all think it's jacking off to someone without their consent is morally wrong. I guarantee you on this panel, there are people who disagree with you.
Sure, I think in varying levels, right? Like some people think that it's okay if they never know about it. Some people think it's okay
always
if they do.
Yeah, the act of telling someone is the problem.
Yeah.
When it goes from becoming a personal private action to an interaction, it's probably bad.
Yeah, which
morally neutral
deepfakes are obviously not just inside your head anymore. And because I really don't think that we have the power to legislate that you can make these in the comfort of your own home but can't distribute them. I just don't see a law that's coming into practice that's like actually going to solve that. So I think that we should just like to keep everyone safe, because we don't need this. We don't need to have access to this, right? This is like some weird like Matrix Black Mirror shit that we don't need access to. There's real porn of real people that you can jack off to, and you can think about Pokimane when you're watching real porn, right? You don't need access to deepfake porn. So I think because we don't need it, and because it is just that we cannot harm reduce enough on it, it should just be illegal to make.
AI porn appeals to just people that like non-consent, and they're like the scum of the internet. So there you go.
AI porn is extremely unethical. I think.
What? AI porn is hyper consent because there's so much coercion.
No,
there's
it's
so
not.
much coercion
No.
involved in porn, and so when you're taking all that away, you're taking all the exploitation of women away, and you're making fake shit. Wait, I'm sorry. No,
wait, first of all, that is absolutely not true, and you have the same idea as Max, and Max said the other day that he saw the point because I fought him on this also. But you are not taking the exploitation away from women. You're just creating more women to exploit, and now they're fake. Like, exploiting real women is not enough.
You can't
exploiting real women are not enough. We need fake ones now to also exploit. That does not change the societal impact. That does not change the societal impact. And also, all that AI porn is based off of real photos of real women taken from porn. So now their likeness, their image is now not belonging to them. It's more unethical because they don't make any money from it. Then it's just jacking off to a porn star who's like, yeah, for the money, you can jack off to me.
If we go down this path, like there needs to be no more porn made, though. Like so, like there's just
no, that's not necessarily true. I think that if we go down this path, I think this is what I entered the space saying is that some porn can exist. It should be behind a paywall, obviously, and it should be direct to consumer, right? Like a girl and or a man direct to consumer, something like OnlyFans, right? But go ahead.
What?
Okay, so if I can, look, Lab, we've both acknowledged that sex work can be extremely exploitative, can be extremely coercive. It can be a really bad environment for some women. Don't you think the possibility of AI porn making it so that women who don't want to do sex work don't ever have to do it, they can just do AI porn instead?
You do realize that the bad parts of sex work aren't just taking some nudes, it's dealing with people.
Yeah, of course.
Especially if you can type in, I don't know if you've seen.
Wait a minute, if I can finish my statement. Okay, so yes, regardless of the many downsides of sex work, what don't you think the possibility that women can now create AI porn and now no longer have to do that sex work themselves, don't you think that could be a good?
No.
That you just repeated what you said as if there was something extra to come
I didn't finish.
Okay, Stardust. You have to stop. You have to let them respond.
I finished what I was saying.
Stop. You have to let them respond. So you've addressed them. You finished your point. Go ahead, respond.
So the problem with that is that the societal issues surrounding porn persist in that, and now women just can't capitalize off of it, right? So the same things are happening to women where they're deeply sexualized in mass amounts. I think there'd be even a bigger explosion, right? Because you can literally type in exactly what the fuck you want to see, and who's not doing that, right? I mean, Max has posted all of his shit recently, and it's like fucking crazy shit. You can do whatever the fuck you want. One, I think that you can also encourage violence against women that way, in a way that like you cannot do with actual humans, which is not good. And then the way that persists in society,
post a warning
women are still going to be treated the way
he literally
informed
posted
by
on
porn.
Twitter today like he got flagged by the AI, and it was told he was told he couldn't submit the kind of content he was creating anymore. So that
Sure,
works
on that website.
What?
On that website, yeah.
Yeah, so doesn't it stand to reason that that's a good instance of like a safeguard existing that would prevent production of materials that were not
for that
suitable
one
for public
website? Yeah, but how do you
'cause-
legislate that?
We can
Because
use
those websites
what
suck for making
the-
porn. He's using whatever on his own computer to make it.
the possibility of creating
Stable Diffusion. Sorry.
The possibility of creating these new scenarios where there's violence against women that aren't recreatable in person is something that has still existed prior to the invention of AI porn. We had Photoshop for a long time. We have special effects for a long time. We've had animation. We have even hentai, right?
I don't know what you just said, to be honest with you.
I'm a little lost, but I think
Really quick, Dooby, I want to take you to task on something really quick. You said that it isn't the law that makes child porn bad, and I agree with you.
No.
Do we have to go back to that? Do we have to go back to that? Can
we need to go back
move
to
on
child
from that?
porn.
Can we?
The child porn stuff has so much weight that is like just unnecessary for the panel. We can do this whole conversation without it.
Because otherwise, you guys reduce what we're actually talking about, which is sexualizing people without their consent. You guys reduce that to some like funny fucking meme, but it's not that, right? It is fucking serious. So if I need to go all the way to child porn because that's the only way your fucking porn obsessed minds will realize how fucked up this is, then I'll do it.
No, because when you're doing
each other without forming explicit agreements to do so is one of the most natural interactions two humans could have. And you, of all people, are sitting here saying that we need to ratchet down the fucking controls on people's thoughts and personal behaviors, and that's super fucking funny.
He's saying that you don't have a right to infringe on someone else's rights.
I'm not infringing on anyone.
The same thing. We don't have the right.
No, hey, stop! No one can understand any of you.
It's not imagination.
Stop.
Once you make the deepfake porn, you can distribute it. There will be no law. There will be no law ever that will distinguish you making it in your bedroom from distributing it. There's no way to make a law like that.
There is.
True.
There's
yes,
no
there
there isn't.
It's like piracy. It's like piracy laws. You can't distribute.
You can make a law, but you can't enforce it.
Then bring it up.
You can
show me the law. Because I can show you the Virginia law, because Virginia is the only place that disallows pornography in the way of like revenge porn, and they have trouble with it. So I would love for you to lay out for me how you could make it legal to make it in your bedroom and that never be distributed. I would love to see it.
It doesn't make sense for you guys to push. Hold on, 1 second. No, stop. Wait, I need to say something really quick. Because it doesn't make any sense to even go down this line of argument when you guys don't agree that it should be made illegal in the first place. So saying that it'll be hard to make it illegal if we were to like go down that path is totally irrelevant because you don't think it should be illegal in the first place. You think it's morally fine.
I think it
should be legal.
With the Virginia law, what you just said was that they made this law and it's really hard for them to enforce it. So I agree. I think that you're right. Like, if we do have these issues, and these issues do exist, and it does cause short-term problems, barring going into the world where I said it's ubiquitous to the point where any image of someone that's nude, you assume is not really them. I think that would really change things when we get to that point. But in the case where it's literally impossible to enforce and this can of worms been opened, then it would be best to just stop it and stop it right from the start. But it's already been opened.
I'm going to interject with a
Why
little
can't
housekeeping.
we should just go back to fanfics.
Stop. Interject with a little
we
housekeeping
don't
here.
base whether we make laws on how hard they are.
Just stop screaming, gang. You can get
That's
loud,
not the
but
point
stop
of-
screaming.
I think we do,
audience,
actually.
His ears are bleeding, so please just stop screaming.
There
and
are a
be
lot
right.
of laws that already exist that are hard to upkeep. We still have them because it would be bad not to.
We can make laws. We can make laws that I think that could kind of tackle this distribution, right? If you look at like piracy laws, if you look at like laws surrounding ownership of like a copy of a movie, right? People already do stuff with that where the distribution of it, the sharing of it with other people is illegal, but the possession of it is not necessary.
Yeah, but the problem is enforcement. We just can't enforce that. It's like
that's not the problem.
Yeah,
we should be talking about why you guys
no,
don't
no,
think it should be
because
illegal in the first place.
because you can't enforce it because it's so impossible to enforce it. Virginia's having that problem right now, especially because it's so hard now with today's technology to see what is fake, and it's getting fucking harder. they have a really hard time, even though it's legislated. They have a really hard time catching these people, deciding whether or not it's fake because they don't have people who are expert enough.
It would fall under for me, Lav, what it would fall under is the same thing as revenge porn, right? It doesn't
And that's
matter.
what it is in Virginia.
Yeah, right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's deep fake or not, right? The distribution of somebody's intimate pictures without their consent is wrong and illegal, and it should be illegal.
When it comes to this, how much do you like?
Yes.
If someone wanted to, so first of all, for those of you
And
who
yet,
are against,
and yet revenge porn is still all over
Lab,
the
you gotta let
internet.
me speak. You gotta let me ask the question, okay? And then you can answer the question.
Laws
I'll let
don't
you go
fix
first.
issues. They still will continue to exist. The consequences are there for when people break them and they get caught. But there are obviously criminals that will exist.
I have a
forever
question.
and
Okay,
never
I'm
get
going to
caught.
start muting people.
That
I
doesn't
have
mean
a
we
question.
just get rid of all laws.
I have a
It's just-
question.
Yeah.
I have a question that
Wait,
can
who
maybe
said-
shed some
wait,
light.
who's
Hey,
saying get rid of all
stop. Okay, I have a question that maybe shed some light on these things and maybe progress this discussion a little bit. Okay, when it comes to, for those of you who are against deep fakes, right? Who don't like them, who don't want them, and things like that. How much would a person have to change the likeness in order for it to be no longer a deep fake? So if someone made a deep fake of me and they changed my beard color, they adjusted my height, they changed my eye color, would that be enough to make it a different person? Where do we draw these lines? Like, that's the problem when it comes to enforcement, right? When it comes to how do we decide what is deep fake? If, like, they are going to just change it just enough to not qualify for deepfake porn. And that's my concern here. So how do we square that circle? Go ahead.
So in copyright, we have this principle about, like, you can bring about a jury to tell the difference between if something is a legitimate or illegitimate rendering of some intellectual property. If you can tell, if average people in the populace can tell the difference, then it's fine. If they can't, then it can't. Then it can't. This is mainly because the main issue. Let me finish my fucking sentence, because that's the reason, by the way, that we do this with a jury and not specialists. Because the problem is defamation. The problem is copyright. The problem is that this is going out there and people can't tell the difference. Normal people, and that's going to make it affect their life. That's the easiest way to do it. A jury of unspecialized peers. If they can tell the difference, then it's probably within grounds. If they can't, then it isn't. Easy as that.
What the fuck does that mean?
Okay,
do you
so
not
Tuna
realize how
Chip.
fucking stupid some people are? They'll just believe anything
Just
they
literally
see.
how
True.
Right,
Wait,
and
so I have a
that's-
question.
I believe the most insane things.
So Tuna Chip, because of that, do you think that if someone uploads a deepfake onto Twitter, it should have one of the things that's like, this is a fake video under it?
It definitely, keep in mind, I'm very against deepfake. Although I'm against deepfake in a broader
Political
sense.
reasons.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
that it destabilizes the government entirely.
Totally.
But
Totally.
now, I do think that the government probably is the
But
best.
when it comes,
No,
when you're horny, you can
No,
do
no,
with a couple of deepfakes.
Because to me, the problem is deepfake being in the culture, being seen, it having effects on people. I don't think that anything that anybody does in the privacy that doesn't actually affect the world and society in a direct sense is a problem. Now, I do think that we should regulate how
Wait,
deepfake
do you
is
think? Wait,
used.
do you think that? I'm sorry. Do you think that like something like porn doesn't affect society?
Porn affects society, but it depends.
Negatively.
There are different tiers of porn. I think that the main effective porn is not something that is outside of reasonability. I do think that
What does that mean?
revenge porn, re-uploaded porn, child
Can you
porn,
give me an
these things
example of
affect
ethical
society in a
porn?
great way.
Tuna Chip, can you give me an example of ethical
I feel
porn?
like I feel like my brain is like
AI porn.
fucking.
What kind of reform?
AI porn is not ethical, Smith. Shut up.
Yes, it fucking
I want
is
to hear. I want to hear
No,
Wick's
it's not.
question.
It can be. AI
Wick.
porn can be ethical. It can be.
That's my
How-
question.
How
Can you
would
give
it
me an
be
example?
ethical? Stardust, give me your.
It would once again, it would be if a woman, let's say, doesn't want to partake in sex work herself, but wants to produce sex work content, she could now all of a sudden be able to do that.
Well, that's arguably
You could do
unethical
that.
because avoiding the person who made it in the first place to monetize their work,
if it's
right?
AI generated, if it's
What about
AI
like
generated.
Facetune? What about like porn stars face tuning their pictures? That's sort of AI.
So they would
It
have
is.
to pay another porn star and then have their face put onto it.
No,
and then
and
there
wait,
would have
is
to be.
that
no,
enough?
I fucking finish
that's not what I'm
fucking
saying.
sentence.
That's not what I'm
You
saying.
gotta
AI
let her
generated.
finish. You gotta let her finish.
We
For
both
realistic.
try to tell you that the stresses of sex work aren't in the production of the pictures.
Right. It can be, right? It can be. Some of the stresses of sex work can be in the pictures. Some of the stresses are walking the streets and the danger of that, right? There are a lot of different stresses in this.
I want to
But that
ask.
doesn't-
I want to
that
ask the
doesn't
sex
mean-
worker on the panel what the stressors are.
Taking a new picture is not stressful. It's dealing with the fucking people and customers afterwards.
Right, sure,
Ew.
but again, this is still
Yeah,
putting at
GPT.
least-
What?
This
I'm
is
a sex worker
still
too.
putting-
Just
Taking the picture is the fun part.
just to
There's
get this, just to get us on the same page here. For those of you who are sex workers on this panel, I think Smeth and 𝙬𝙗 are. Okay, what are the main stressors from sex work, and how does AI either exacerbate or eliminate?
Well,
Are you asking us?
well,
Smeth is
so-
going to disagree.
Well,
with
I want to ask
everything
𝙬𝙗. I want to
say.
ask 𝙬𝙗 first. 𝙬𝙗, and then
Okay, go
Smeth,
first.
and then.
So Smeth is going to disagree with everything I say, but I think that one of the stressors, and I've brought this up literally for months, is that when you contribute in this is a way bigger question, like to live in a pornified world and then to contribute to a pornified world. I think that's the biggest stressor. Is like I actively know that whatever I'm doing for the sake of money, for the sake of my survival, I've had to like put women's liberation on the back burner. Or like contribute to that not happening and live in like a male dominated and sexual projected world on top of me. And I think that weighs on me because I've obviously had to do things that I wouldn't do on my own, right? Like normally I wouldn't fuck myself on camera, but I'm having to do it because a man wants to see me fuck myself on camera.
Do you feel
which I
that
think
way
is bad.
currently? Or are you talking about in the past only?
I feel that way currently.
But you don't have to do sex work now.
What do you mean have to?
Well, you were talking like you had to in the past, which is fair enough, but it's not the case
I think
now, is it?
I think
You have
have to. I think have to is interesting because no, I'm not like homeless anymore, right? But
If
also,
she didn't make sex work,
but
she'd be a
also I
slave.
want. Shut up. But also I want, my own income, and this is the way that I'm able to do it on, with my situation.
You're
Yeah.
capable of doing something else. You have a husband. You could go get a regular job.
I know that I have a husband, but I also think it's a little reductive to say that I can live off of my husband's wealth.
I just said you could get another job.
Yeah, but she could never.
yeah, and
he makes a lot of money, so like for her to get to that level and be equals, it would take
Smeth,
a
wouldn't
can
be
you
as
let
much
her
money.
respond? Smeth, can
No,
you
well,
let
first of all,
𝙬𝙗
it's-
respond,
Yeah,
please?
degradation of women is all right if you're making above a certain point of money.
No, but there's I think that it's definitely weighted. My fiance makes enough money to where unless I do OnlyFans, I will always be like sort of just like his baby who he's taking care of. And I want there to be a power dynamic in our relationship where he's not like daddy taking care of me. I think it's really important to me in my relationship and also to women in society to sort of like date within their financial caste. Otherwise, there's like this very strange power dynamic that I don't
Yeah, I'm sure it
personally
feels
want
better.
to
Go
deal
get
with.
another beer. I'll be right back.
That was a
So
very
your
weird
solution for that-
justification.
So your
I don't
solution
think that
for
was a
that is
justification. I think that was a fully salient reason.
No, that was
I agree
fine.
with everything you said. I agree with everything you said, except for one part. I agree with like adding to this dynamic that's this unhealthy and makes you unhappy. You're contributing to the oppression of women. I actually agree with all of that, except I don't think that's inherent to the porn. I think the porn in itself is fun, and to objectify yourself is fun. It's once it's in other people's hands, and when you're making money off of it, and then you don't have power over what makes
I'd
the
agree
money.
with you. I'd agree with you if porn, like how many deepfakes are there of men right now? How much porn is there where you're getting close-up shots of women? Women
Right.
are the backbone of pornography, and because of that, that says something about society. So I think it's
Yes.
it's a symptom to a bigger issue.
Okay,
I agree.
wanna-
So, but what I'm saying is that I think that it's
So
a
that's what I'm saying.
societal
That
issue.
deepfakes.
It's a societal issue, and deepfake. It's not deepfake. It's the society that embodies.
I've said
the
that.
deepfake.
I think
I
that
want to
deepfake
get
is a
back
symptom to a
on-
bigger issue.
I want to
No,
get
no, no,
back
it's
on
not
to the
symptom.
to the subject as a whole. I want to get back onto the subject as a whole.
I just
if you
can't
may.
take the.
Go on. Go ahead. You can't take it anymore.
I can't take the
Oh,
position
you can
seriously
take it,
that
baby.
like porn is this highly corrosive thing that is like serious, objectively bad for society. But you, of all people, have been empowered.
Oh,
in
okay,
ways
okay,
that-
okay, okay. I want to get
This
into
is
the
like
actual
Good,
subject
please
at
move
hand.
on. Please move
Okay.
I'd love to talk about this. I'd love to talk about this another time, though.
Wait, could a drug addict not come on here and talk about how harmful drug use is?
Tell you
Of
what,
course
we'll
they could.
have
It's
Lava
ridiculous.
on another day to talk about lab, but today we're talking about the subject of AI porn. Okay, we cool? Good? Cool.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you for protecting me.
Yes.
Thank you for the White Knight.
God
So,
damn it.
the question that I have is if AI generated porn or if deepfake generated porn is bad, right? If all deepfake porn is bad and because it could look like somebody's likeness and that person didn't consent, how do you guys feel about porn stars whose specific job is to look like famous actors and actresses?
A-okay.
that's
Just
okay.
like impressions are okay.
No, I don't think that's okay. Again, I think like Lav kind of pointed to, this is like pointing to a wider problem with porn in general, and how porn impacts our society, how porn impacts the way that the young men especially develop, and their attitudes toward women. I think that
How young women develop.
yeah, how
next to
young
that.
women, yeah, and what young women feel they're expected to do in sexual interactions, what they feel is normal in sex. I think all that's a much bigger problem, with porn like as a whole. So yeah, that's another thing that I don't think we should be normalizing.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think
see,
that porn
parody
is the thing that's porn isn't
parody
the thing
porn
that's
is
enforcing
very-
that. Porn is showing us that's the way
That's
we
not true.
are. And so you think
parody
that
porn is
I'm sorry,
all over the
porn
place.
is not the way that we are. That's insane.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Porn
That's
is
not
a
what I'm saying. That's not what I meant to
capitalistic,
say.
like it's
Let's
a
get-
capitalist
Stop.
I agree.
feeding tube into you.
Stardust, go
Yes,
ahead.
I
Stardust, go
agree.
ahead.
Yes.
Stardust, go ahead.
Parody porn is something that is already super saturated in the market. We
And that's
have
not
parody
okay.
porn. We have parody porn of all sorts of movies. Nobody made a big fuss about that. We have parody
true.
porn of different actors and actresses. Nobody made a big fuss out of that because everybody's argument was like, oh, well, they put themselves out there. They shouldn't put themselves out there if they don't want it. I disagree with that. I disagree with that in itself because I think that you have the right to your own image, but at the same time, what somebody fantasizes about, I don't feel like I have any purview over that.
Wait, so think about. So wait, 1 second. So, Sarah Palin, if we're going to use that example, because that's like the one on everybody's heads, I got. So she's a woman who was the former governor of a state, right? Former
Mhm.
presidential candidate, very accomplished person, right? So for her to be dragged down and reduced to a sex object, I think is a massive fucking problem. And it points and it indicates that there's a problem in our culture that this is like normalized. We see this as not a big deal. It's funny. It's okay to do this kind of shit. So whether or not she came out and said something about it, and I think it's reasonable that she wouldn't because this would probably just lead to more people making porn with like lookalikes of her. I don't think that that's something that we should accept. That it's okay to take an accomplished woman, right, someone who should be like a role model for a lot of women in this country, and reduce her to a fucking like sex object.
Like,
Can I say
parody
something
movies.
real quick?
Go ahead.
Just because people didn't care is completely irrelevant. Nobody gave two shits when Kim Kardashian or like Paris Hilton's sex tapes were leaked, but now we know that revenge porn is bad. What people care about is completely irrelevant. I don't know what the point
No, I'm
is.
not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you.
That was part of what you were
I-
saying.
I
You're like,
don't-
oh,
I
well,
don't-
no one's made a big deal about the celebrity.
The reason why I'm bringing it up is to ask Dooby his opinion, ask you guys your opinion. I always thought that Paris Hilton's sex tape being leaked was fucking horrible. I thought that Kim Kardashian having her sex tape being leaked was horrible. I thought that both
I
of
mean,
those
I did
were
too, but a lot of people didn't give two shits.
Yeah, a lot
right?
of people
We
didn't
know.
give two shits. A lot of people really didn't, and they should have.
Well, those leaks are different from a parody, I think. Like,
Yeah,
like a
absolutely.
parody is, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's
parodies
not the same.
parodies are protected under some sort of
Fair
weird
use.
law or
the
something,
law of fair
right?
use law.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
okay, but like I don't think we really care about the legality.
Go-
right? So
go
why
ahead.
isn't a deep fake just like a more advanced version of a parody?
That's a good question.
Okay,
Why
the
isn't
difference
it?
is the first thing that I mentioned.
Because
if
a parody
it
has a
looks
whole
real.
actual person with an identity that exists out of pretending to look like somebody
If
else.
you-
I'm not
if
saying
you
that
believe-
means I think that it's okay, but they exist as a person, so we can know that they're not the same people.
If you believe that the deepfake video is real, and you market it as real, you tell people this is a real video. This is really Paris Hilton's video, and it's fake. It's a deepfake. That's a real problem. But if it's clearly a deepfake, just the way a parody is a parody, like just a parody porn is parody porn, it's not. It's clearly not them, and it's obviously like you can't like hold them accountable for something someone else did.
parody movies that are not pornographic. How about those? Are those allowed?
No, because they're bad.
Exploit and defame someone's brand.
That's a
I
fair point.
myself doing so if it's sexual, because I can
So-
legally.
Can you repeat that one more time? And then Tuna, I see you. I see
Can
you,
I
buddy. You can
mock-
get in as
Can
soon
I
as he's
mock
done.
and defame someone's brand in a way that damages, like in a way that damages them that's not sexual then? And because that is something that's protected by law, my ability to do
is.
so.
It's protected.
So the thing that should be done to separate the difference is the same thing. I've mentioned this before when I was talking in the chat, is how Disney does not allow people to use the names of the Disney princesses when people are doing their, you know, going around dressing up as whatever you have. So it should be fine to do parody porn as long as the ID of the name of the person is not plastered all over everything and then comes up in searches and things like this. If it was made generic, then theoretically the harm is nearly non-existent.
Okay, do you
But
think that
what
there's
if
a
this-
Not how
substantive
parody
difference?
law works.
Real quick, I have a question for Kelly on this. Do you think there's a substantive difference between saying parody of X person and deepfake of X person? Because these are functionally the same thing in terms of the way
No,
they're
they're not
optically
functionally
presented.
the same thing.
Yeah, deepfake
Yeah, they are.
literally means this is not a real depiction of the real person. It is a
Yes, but the
depiction
person
that
doing a
been
parody is a real
simulated.
fucking human that exists with a name and an like ID outside.
That's why I
of it.
asked if the fucking
But why does it
terms
matter?
made you think differently about them.
Right,
Parody
okay, one
of
second.
versus
So if I
deepfake of,
People
and
do
I
parody
still
if
porn
think
on
we
real
had like
people,
a
too.
if we had like a twin, right? Like a situation where a twin decided to go into porn, but they went into porn and they made a like some kind of content where they're pretending to be their brother or their sister, right? Who is not doing porn. Right?
If they're
We would still think that's not
pretending to
okay,
be,
right?
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
they
if they're
don't have
actively
to be. They could
pretending to
legally
be, then
change their name to the
we-
same thing. They could legally change their name so they have the same exact name. They look exactly the same. Then they are representing themselves as the same person.
brand
on-
identity, cover names, irrelevant point. Move on.
No,
Yeah,
it's
I
not
don't
an
think that- I
irrelevant
don't think
point.
that
I'm
matters,
not
right?
prepared to
So
answer
if
for
the
it.
title
I
of the
feel like
porn,
I fucking walked
it
this
says-
entire
Why
panel.
Why do you
Yeah.
think there are so many princesses that can't even call themselves Belle or
Okay,
fucking?
well, it doesn't
that-
matter.
that they-
So, okay, I don't know why the name like matters to you guys, like the legal name matters to you. So if in the title of the video, right, it was like Jennifer Lawrence gets ass fucked, but it's actually her twin sister, Bethany. Like we would still probably think this is not okay, right?
Resolution.
I mean, it would not be okay for slightly different reasons. It would obviously
It depends on
open
if
them
you
up
think it's
to a
real.
lot of.
No, I don't
No,
care about the
things
legality.
happening.
I'm talking about like ethically. Would that be okay?
The
Depends
reason
if you think it's
ethically wrong-
real.
Hey, no, I think we have to admit that it's ethically wrong because you're taking somebody who is a public figure, people know who they are, and then you're putting something out that they didn't do in a way that is deceptive in order
So
to
if
make
Wick's
the public
twin
think that
brother
they
did
did
this, it'd be
something.
fine.
If
Because
you're
not,
deceiving
because he's
people
not
to
as
make
public
them,
a figure.
No. So the reason, okay, this is important. Okay, let's use your analogy before about parody, right? Why is it that an Elvis impersonator can make any money by impersonating Elvis? It's because Elvis is known. A brand and a thing gains value, and you're exploiting the value of it because it was imbued by the person that you're impersonating. So
Okay,
that's why it's a little bit
irrelevant.
different when you're saying that you're Jennifer Lawrence as opposed to you're saying, hey, I'm Joe Schmo. No one's clicking because the word's Joe Schmo. No one's clicking because of the persona, because the persona doesn't have an encoded value.
Okay, but
They
whether or not
click
it's
if it was
monetized is irrelevant
WhickTV.
to the conversation, right? So again, I don't know.
It is
or
relevant
folks
to the
don't-
conversation.
No,
You
it's
asked
not.
why.
No, okay. I didn't ask about it being monetized. I asked about there being a porn video existing somewhere. Right? So if
doesn't
it was
even
my
have to
if
be
it was my
monetized.
fucking neighbor, if it was my fucking neighbor right, who had a twin brother, and it was just this is Bob having sex, but it's actually his twin brother Kevin, right? Having sex in this video, totally not monetized. But he's
need
on
to be
video getting ass
monetized.
fucked, right? Would Bob be okay and being upset about that? Would that be unethical for Kevin to do?
Yeah, because it's defamation.
I think, yes, it depends on if it's deceptive or not. That's what I was saying before. So like a parody or like a character, a parody movie, you know that it's not a real like for instance, the reason that what was the game Pokemon Uranium was taken down isn't because of the mechanics of the game being like Nintendo shouldn't be allowed to take down a game because it has the same mechanics. That's fucking stupid. There's so many games that like the reason is because it's branded as Pokemon and they're trying to say that
Okay,
it's the
so be
same thing.
clear.
It's deceptive.
Okay, so what you're saying is that if they made deepfake porn, but it had like a little watermark on it that said deepfaked, that'd be okay to you.
Yeah.
This is being like okay.
Yes.
See, that I don't agree with, right? Does anybody
Yeah,
else here agree with that? Do you
watermarks
think
can
it's
be
do you
removed.
think it's
There's a
okay to
condition-
make deepfake porn just like
Watermarks can
openly
be
available to
removed,
everybody
yeah.
on a website?
There's a condition
so
I
long
do
as there's a
agree with
watermark
you.
on there.
I agree with you in the case. I think once you become a public figure, I absolutely agree that would be the case. But I think with private individuals, I think I feel differently about it.
Why?
Because you aren't like, so as a public person, you are already putting out public information about yourself. You're already creating a narrative about yourself. You're creating an image.
Anybody who has a
and
Facebook profile does that.
I guess I guess maybe I don't really care.
What
then. Maybe I
does
don't
it
care.
change? Just I hate this hypothetical road because, gang, this hypothetical road, like these are things that might happen, could happen. They're important to talk about, but there are things that are happening actually in the real world that have happened. It was exposed famously this week, right? But this isn't the first time that deepfakes have been made. We've had this technology and it's been happening.
Yeah, but Wick, I feel like
to various degrees.
I feel like
for a
focusing
while.
on public figures just like it doesn't get to the core of the issue, because the core of the issue isn't that this person is public or that they have a brand or that it's being monetized or any of this. I think that's irrelevant to the actual problem, right? I think the problem that people have with it is that they feel like consent is being taken. If there's someone's agency, the ability to consent to being portrayed in this way, right? Is being
If you
stripped
have
from
to
them.
consent to things that people think about you, consent
Not
is an
things,
arbitrary
thing.
concept.
It's
thing.
not
Wait,
thing.
Nothing.
A thing is being produced, right? An image or a video or something is
It's
being
left
produced.
to your brain. It's left to your brain at this point.
Yeah, but if it's on a computer, that's also still isolated. What we're saying
I agree
is
with
that
that.
You've already discussed. That doesn't
I
happen.
agree
I
with that,
know,
but
but
No,
I
but
think
you haven't
that-
drawn.
that's the problem.
The reason I feel different.
Any harm to this. If anything, having your real life nudes leaked is more harmful than having a deep fake that somebody made of you leaked.
Yes.
You haven't
The reason-
you haven't put any unique harm to the deep fake being leaked
Well,
versus any other
wait,
sense.
wait, I'm gonna
But I think
Why
you're
would that
forgetting.
be
Hold on.
unique?
I think what Dooby is saying is that you're forgetting something a lot bigger here, which is not the act of how embarrassing it might be for someone to see you naked or to see your likeness naked, but that this is a symptom to a bigger issue, which is the fact that you think that your rights can infringe on someone else's
Doesn't
happiness.
infringe. Happiness.
Rights matter, Asian.
Well, I want you
Let me
to
get
think of it this way. I want you to think of it this way. I need you to weigh the pros and cons of having deepfakes, and I think it will be very clear to you what the right answer is.
What about
okay?
of having someone's nudes that they sent?
the
you? What about
pros
of having your
to
own on your
deepfakes?
phone?
You get
What
to
about
jack off, right? Pros to deepfakes, you get to jack off. Hell yeah. Sexual exploration. Let's go. Humanism. Human's gonna human, right? Negatives.
yourself.
Cons to deepfakes. There are so many. There are so many. What do you mean name one?
We've been
Kelly
going
Kelly
through it.
talked about her experience. That's
But we're
that's
talking-
one,
yes.
and that's on
Yes,
a
so what I was
small
about to
scale,
say-
right? That's on a
what I was
small
about-
scale because Kelly obviously it didn't. Kelly's a strong girl. She was like she took it in stride. Some people can't, right? Now there's another thing with deepfakes where you can sway
Hey,
sway
gang, you
political
gotta
opinions.
stop. You gotta let her finish before you respond, and you can't all fucking respond at once. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna let her finish, then Portland's gonna respond, then Smeth's gonna respond, then Tuna Chip's gonna respond, and the rest of you are gonna shut the fuck up, or I'm gonna mute you. Cool?
So yes, one, and I know that as men you won't care about this, but I think a big one is how women feel about it. Right? I think that's a big thing, how women feel about their likeness being taken from them and used for mass consumption that is not just in your brain anymore, but that the whole internet has access to it, especially if you're a public figure and you have more people having access to it, right? Because they know about you. That's one issue. So yes, women's feelings. Two, what that says for society, that we have suddenly the right to infringe on someone else's rights without their consent, or their body. Like we have the right suddenly to just jack off to whatever the fuck we want, even though there are people, we don't need it. Even though we don't need it, there's already porn that exists that you can jack off to as your horny heart desires. And then, the other three is that this sways like, political opinion potentially, because deepfakes are just getting more realistic and more realistic. Another one is that our technology is getting so crazy that we won't be able to tell the difference soon. Another reason is that the internet is going fucking haywire. Like Like, this is just going to get worse and worse and worse if we don't legislate now, right?
Okay,
It's just
okay.
going to get worse.
You listed a lot of things. First of all, anybody
I did
who
do
has-
that.
Yeah, anybody who has the like political motivation to prove that a deep fake is a deep fake should have the monetary resources to hire a digital forensics expert to prove in a couple of hours tops that it's a deep fake and not a legitimate video. Secondly, the notion that people are going to come to like substantive harm in their personal lives because deep fakes are going to be used to like harass them is obviously something that is worth consideration, but it's considered by the legal system within the framework of like defamation of slander, of like damaging of your brand's material value, and of monetization of your image without your consent or without a licensing agreement in place. These are things that like the technology has to catch up to, but they're by no means novel or unique to this technology. They apply to almost every form of image replication that we can use to render an image of someone that's even approaching photorealism. I'm sorry, she's listed like 5 fucking things, okay? Just trying to...
And still the only pro, and still throughout all of that, the only pro is that you just get to jack off to someone.
I don't need a pro to exist privately and access a tool that's publicly available. You need to have a substantive
I'm saying
my
the
right to do that
pros
away
and
from me, and all you've made are emotional arguments.
You
That's
do not have.
enough.
You think that you should have? It's
I
crazy to me
can.
that
I
your
do have access
porn-fried
to it.
brain
I
makes you
literally
think that
can.
it is
You offer
important
your
for
images
you
the
to
public
have
for
this
public
right.
consumption.
That's not the point. That's not the point. Okay, I was next. So, anyways, so that's the point is like that you're making the same argument. People make the same argument about like different oil paints. Like, oh well, you shouldn't have access to cadmium red because technically, like that's like a harmful thing, and like they made it illegal in the fucking UK. It's really stupid because they made these bullshit arguments that it was artists that were poisoning the water supply when it's actually battery companies. Or utter bullshit, but cadmium's bad, so we should.
What?
It's not the cadmium. It's not. All I'm saying is you can demonize the paint, you can demonize the thing, but really what the issue is harassment or deception, and these are ways that you could use the technology, and these are already illegal, or if they're not, they should be. But it's not the technology in itself. It's the same as saying oil paint is the problem. Human sexuality can be expressed as in any way we want in private, and that's not the issue. Earlier you said legislate now so we can stop it, but you also said, Leah, that you didn't want you think that it's ubiquitous, or no, wait, you said you can't stop it. I think it's going to become ubiquitous. You already said we can't stop it. I don't think we can we can legislate it against all we want, but we're still going to get Pirate Bay completely full of this shit. I think the best course of action, the best way to fight against it, is to make it ubiquitous.
It's ridiculous. This is the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I think. Listen, you know that there was a world before internet porn, right? And we did just fine.
Did just fine? Were we treating women just
I acknowledge
fine?
all these. I acknowledge
no,
all
I
these.
mean
treated.
Hold on.
So we should just have deepfake porn
Do
made
you
of
think
everybody.
I said before internet? Do you think do you think I said before internet everything was like good and grand? Like Holocaust didn't happen, everything was good. Like
oh my
that's
god,
not what I
don't
was
say
fucking
things
saying.
like
I'm
we
saying
got along just
all
fine
of the
before
world's
porn
ills
is
are
actually
because
working.
of porn, even though the world
No,
used to be
I'm
so
saying
much worse.
internet porn has changed us as a society. That is, if you
In a
try to
negative way.
argue
Now
that,
prove it.
Internet
you
porn
are
is-
fucking insane.
You say it, now
Internet
substantiate
porn
it
is
somehow.
the-
Show me
Or
the
makes you
harm that it
less-
caused
is
societally.
the evil of the
that
world,
makes you less likely to rape.
even though we used to treat women way worse, and we
Yes.
still have way worse quality of lives.
Yeah, sexual violence is down dramatically in developed nations where we have ready access to porn. I could easily point to that and say, like, no, it's super helpful for society. You haven't pointed to shit to substantiate your claim that it's bad. You've just said it's bad because you have some moral hang-up, even though you fucking do it.
You're so dumb.
Can I just say
No.
something?
Actually, engage with what he said.
Right.
Engage
I'm
with
here
what
to
he said.
talk, not to listen
No,
to
first
you.
of all, it's no moral hang up, and I really struggle
No,
to
it
have
is
this
moral hang-up.
conversation, especially with men who are as angry as you, because I feel like
You're fucking annoying. It's exhausting. I wouldn't have come here if I knew you were going to monopolize the panel.
believe. Wait, what? I just
No.
didn't speak for 20 minutes.
Oh my god.
Can I
Make it
just say
25
something
next
real
time, please.
fast?
Also,
Please,
you're
I am begging.
Real
at this
fast,
point.
real
Yeah.
fast, and then we'll continue.
Thank
Quickly,
you.
concise,
Okay,
please.
so on the topic of harassment, there's someone in the chat doing it right fucking now.
Mods, if you see any
It's
harassment,
saying it's
do
not the
something
same as
about it.
Deepfake. Your nudes are OnlyFans leaks whose choice was to join a prostitute site. And I try to clarify that even now I don't do nudity, but even if I did, saying this kind of shit is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Hello? But back then, I literally didn't even have an OF. I was just a cosplayer streamer, and you are like literally just proving my point that people are fucking stupid. They see what is on the internet and they believe it because they don't engage their fucking brains.
2 things. Chat, be good. Second, stop reading chat if you're on the panel.
I mean, it's fine because he proves my point by existing.
Fair
I'm
enough.
not upset by it because I've dealt with it for the last 6 years. But, you know,
Fair enough.
it
You
is
could
what
use
it
him
is.
as a cautionary tale,
As a literal
if you will.
point. Look, he's saying that I'm lying right now.
Okay.
Catch me there in a lie.
Can I say, please,
What is fucking wrong with you? You've got
It's gonna drive
mental
me insane.
illness. I don't sell nudes on OnlyFans.
Don't
Even
read
if
chat.
I did,
Don't read chat. Stop.
even if I
Close
did,
chat down.
it
Close
would
chat
be
down.
fine because this happened
get back on
6
the train.
years ago.
Wick, please.
Let's get back on the train.
We've
been at the I'm getting
so Kelly,
harassed in chat
please,
station
but
for a
I think
while.
here's where this also doesn't make sense because Kelly, you put out like very like sexualized like images of yourself, which is fine if that's what you want to do. But I don't
Again,
think it
this
makes
happened
sense
6 years
to
ago.
do that. No, okay, that's fine. But I don't think it makes sense to do that and then get upset when people sexualize you. Like that doesn't make any
No,
sense.
it's because he's wrong. That's why I'm mad, because he's fucking stupid and wrong.
I have a question.
Okay,
And saying that I'm a liar. Everyone gets tilted by that. No one wants to say they're being called a liar. Like, no.
that's fine. But can someone agree like address what Lav was saying about like I mean, do you guys disagree that porn has a like negative impact on our society? in the way
I
it
don't
Yeah,
think it has
Portland
a negative
does.
impact,
disagree.
but
Demonstrate
He
that it
agrees
does.
so much that he wouldn't be here if he knew I
Portland.
was coming.
Portland, like
Demonstrate that it's
Portland,
damaging
you
to
have
society
you're on the
in
internet.
any
You have
ways that
access
you
to
can-
Google. Google any study on this, and you'll find that you're incorrect. Like,
Yeah,
take 2 minutes, shut the fuck up for 2 minutes and do it, and you'll find that you're incorrect.
yeah, I think porn
Porn-
obviously has an impact that's negative on society, but we
Excessive
still
consumption of
acknowledge-
anything is bad.
Not even
No, it's-
excessive. Any
no,
consumption.
But we
It's
still
any
have to
consumption of it.
acknowledge. We still have to acknowledge that this argument about the time before internet porn, we didn't need it, is not really the best one because we have seen quality of life has improved.
This isn't
so
my
much
main
in
point.
developed countries, right? And
Because
so
of porn?
I wanted to ask. I wanted to
That doesn't make any
not because of porn, not because of porn. I never
Well,
said
that's what
because
we're
of porn.
talking about. We're talking about
but-
the porn aspect. We're not
but
talking
you're
about
saying
technology as a
technological
whole.
advances that led to
I can
porn.
do the same thing. I can do the same
Yes,
thing.
but
with your
that's a
argument.
why
what
why
I
would we
would
talk
like to
about that
ask-
in relation?
would
We're
like
talking
to
about
ask-
porn.
What I would like to ask is, I bet that just like Lab listed all of the cons of deepfake porn, I am sure that people on the opposite side on this panel could list all the cons of legislating against deepfake porn. Does somebody want to do that?
Yes, absolutely. The amount of legislation that would have to go to make it so that people can't produce it would be insurmountable, and it would affect women worse than the porn industry.
More
Yes.
bullshit.
Nope. You can have a
Like
computer that's
how?
not connected to the internet. You can
We
have
can't make,
AI
we can't
on
make
top
child
of it.
porn illegal because we can't make the possession of
That-
child porn illegal.
okay.
because
Hey,
it's
just
really
real quick.
hard to
Hey,
find
let
child porn
him.
actually
illegal.
Let
an
Tuna
argument.
Chip.
Ridiculous.
Let
It's
Tuna
stupid.
Chip.
Whoa!
As
Somebody
he's made an
sold this
assertion.
fucking
Tuna
frog.
Chip, stop it. Tuna Chip. You've made an assertion. Can you back it up? I will give you the space to do so. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you have a closed server that's not connected to the internet, you have an AI. The current this person doesn't exist or whatever. That is a GAN network. That is a generative. What is the stupid word? Antagonistic network. You have two AIs that are teaching one another how to fraud images. You don't actually have to have it connected to the internet to have all of that happen. You just need to feed it data from two sets and have them go against each other and try and figure out how to get better and better at iterating it. You can make really powerful AI porn without it ever getting outside of that system, ever getting outside of that loop. The thing that we have a problem with is the defamation, the harassment, which, by the way, right now, we got to admit, because I am on the anti-deepfake point, 97% of this deepfake porn is being used for harassment. There's studies connecting to that. So we can't just pretend that it's not being used that way. That's the main use of it so far. So yeah, right now, Lab, you're arguing this idea that it's for jacking off. That's not the thing that it's for. Right now, it's mostly for harassing women. You're right, but you don't have the main
It's
point.
harassing
The main
women
point is
with
that
porn.
how it's being used. Now, if
Wait,
we're
it's
gonna talk
harassing
about-
women with porn.
Yes,
Well, you-
but it's the production is not the issue because the production
95% of deepfakes are pornography of women. Look up that stat. I'm not lying.
I know. I did the same research as you, Lav. And here's the thing. Although we are talking about the porn
So what are
that
you
gets out of
saying?
the box, the porn inside of the box, any porn that is private, is not the moral issue. The moral issue is what it does to real people when it gets outside of the box. Tree in a forest falling, no sound kind of fucking situation going on. Now, the idea that it's affecting people's brains, I want you to go ahead and roll this back really quick. What came first, sexualization or porn? Sexualization. What came first, women being treated as cattle and property, or porn? Women being treated as cattle and property. All of this history has made
I've always
the
said
world,
it's a symptom. I've always
Yes,
said it's a symptom. I don't think
but-
it's the problem.
But if you get rid of the porn, guess what? You have to actually change the world. So if we're going to do
I
that,
don't think we
be
should get
looking
rid
at
of
the bigger
porn.
picture.
I don't think we should get rid of porn. I think that
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
because
think that
then
we
you
should get rid
wouldn't
of
have
porn.
enough money to feel like you're in a competent relationship with your partner right now. We need
No,
to
I
get
think
rid
that
of
no,
this
it's not
theory.
that. I think that porn is good for human sexuality in general, and I've said that now forever. And I don't appreciate how you went to like a weird personal place because I haven't done that to you, and I'm trying to remain somewhat professional in this, regardless of what my public
Sure,
image
Mav.
is.
Sure, Mav.
But I think that I think that porn is extremely important to human sexuality, whether it be fanfic or drawings or even videos of people. I think that the problem is that because there is so much of that, we don't even need deepfake porn. So the argument to keep it doesn't make a fuck ton of sense, especially when you're like, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense when mostly
Okay.
all deepfakes are for is like to create harm.
So the
When
question
you can
would be,
literally jack off to anything else, like anything else. You can jack off to people dressed up as Pokimane, right?
the question
can do
would
that.
be, the question would
Not
be,
if Dooby has his way. You
Just-
shouldn't be able
yeah,
to
if
jack
I may.
off
What's
to
the question?
someone
What's the question, Wick?
if-
What's the
if I may.
question?
impersonating Pokimane.
The question
Wick.
would be, and I think I'm still not getting an answer from anyone here, right? If we are to go down this road of making possession or and creation of deepfakes illegal, what other negative consequences might that spark? For example, if someone made a meme of me on the internet, not sexual, right? They put my face on a funny meme that I found offensive, right? It was against my religion for whatever reason, if I had one, right? I was Muslim, and they put Photoshop my face on a meme, and it had Muhammad in it, right? And I wanted to get that taken down. Like, do we think that's something that people should be able to get taken down? If you're a public figure, should you be able to get someone's making fun of you and memeing on you taken down? Should you be able to take your likeness down? And my question would be, how can we create legislation that stops the sexual deepfakes but does not stop the memeing and things like that?
Well,
That
you're
would be-
I mean,
basically
you can
asking
pay
if
to
why
have
should
slander
harassment-
removed.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
true.
why isn't it just like harassment? Right? You're basically asking why should harassment be illegal?
Well, it's not in a lot of
It
cases.
is.
Making a meme of someone is not illegal.
Hold on, harassment is illegal. I think what you just described is a form of harassment.
You
you
would
do
not
Sure,
be
but
able
I
to
think it gets
meme
really
should
hairy
be
if we start to
illegal. Like,
legislate against hardment. It gets hairy.
It's really
But I have a
hardcore, too.
question. I have a question because I'm also thinking about this side of it. Is and this could be completely. This could be another conversation completely. But why is it so embarrassing for women to be seen naked? Like, why? Like,
Look,
why
it's
do we?
embarrassing for
as
men
a
to
soc-
be
no,
seen
listen,
naked,
listen,
too.
listen. No, it's not. It does not have the same weight for men than it does for women.
I would be
And to
very
some
embarrassed.
degree, I really think that we infantilize women to the point where they're not allowed to have a sexuality, and that's why this is so like visceral, right? So like this is like that's
Yeah.
why it's so violent against women when like I don't know, are we all just
No.
socialized to think
I
that
have-
a woman
I
are we all
don't.
just socialized to not to think that like seeing a woman
Do
is
the
like
rest of us
bad?
agree
I
with
don't know.
this?
I
Do
have
the-
a, I
just
have a
for-
really
stop,
big
Smeth, stop.
chunk. Okay.
Do the rest of us agree with this? That it has more of a.
I didn't say you have to agree. I said let's talk about
I
it.
agree. I
I
agree.
understand, but you made an assertion like everyone knows this, and I'm just curious if that's
Wait, what
something
was the
everyone knows. I think that like being seen naked is embarrassing for everyone, right?
why?
Men and women, right?
But
Because
why in a
it's
secular world?
privacy.
Why?
It's not about embarrassment. It's not about embarrassment.
It's about
It's
violence.
the consequences, the anxiety that comes from it. Women are more vulnerable and more targeted than men are. That's
And
the
why?
real problem. It's not the embarrassment. It's
Why?
the fact that you could get a stalker, you could get a rapist. It's the fact that the world is set up in such a way where women are generally more anxious of those things, and for fair reason. It's more likely to happen to them.
I've
True.
wrote a whole big in my notes. I have a whole big section
deepfakes
on this.
are a violence against women, right, Portland?
Not if they don't extend to the woman themselves. Absolutely fucking not. No more
What
so
do
than
you
me
mean?
drawing a picture of you, a stick figure with your name over it, and a fucking hangman.
Are you gonna jack off to it?
If I want to, I will, and you can't
Do you
fucking
want
stop
to?
me. No, I don't. You look like a 12-year-old, so I would basically
Whoa,
be
we don't need to
Some
bring
people
this
like
up.
that.
We don't need to
He
bring
has
the
kids.
personal
He
insults.
has
I don't
kids. He's
know
the
where you
authority
would
on looking
get
like a
that from.
12-year-old.
But it's a cool place to
Makes me
take the
weird for his kid.
conversation, I suppose.
I'm about to be 18 in like a week. It's fine.
Congratulations.
God,
I'm
I don't
sure
need that meme. I don't need people to clip
Feel
that
the
out of
meme.
context and people to believe that. I don't need this in my life, please.
Hurry,
But
play
no, I
the
think I
music
would
music
take
deal
a.
with what Lab asked.
I would.
But if I was slightly older,
Yeah, I would take a. Like, just because it happens more in certain instances into certain demographics doesn't mean we can ignore that it also happens to others. Like this kind of like a Olympics or this contest we make of this. We don't need to make it a gendered issue. We really don't.
I
We can
will
just
say
say
but
it's
it
an
is.
issue.
But
Please let me.
it's you
Please let
can't-
me. I have a lot to
It
say
is
about
a
this.
gendered issue.
I have a lot to say about this, Whick. So I think the reason that we're so outraged, and I think rightfully so, when this kind of thing happens to women more, and why women sort of have this more shame reaction stuff to their nudity being exposed, is because we empower women and give them their locus of power is their sexuality and themselves as a sexual object. And any woman that's a sex worker can probably attest to this. It's like incredibly powerful in the short term. In the long term, it's going to be kind of enslavement to the patriarchy, blah, blah, blah. Short term, great. So you're gonna get all these boosts. Like every Twitch streamer that's a woman will know that wearing like a V-neck is gonna be really beneficial. Like as soon as you wear a low-cut shirt, you're gonna be like, oh wow, I got a lot more attention today. And you're like, you know what? I'll take that devil deal. I'm gonna do that because it's gonna be good for my career. In the long run, it hurts all women. But
It's
like,
a
so
societal
a
reaction
man,
as well. I mean, even in the chat right now, we've got people saying her dad already failed her. Look
So-
at this shit. This
A-
is
a
the kind
woman-
of stuff you deal with by being a woman on the
Yeah.
internet.
Do-
Just
do
by
you want
fucking
me to-
dressing normally.
Do you want me
This is
to
what I
read?
wear when I leave.
Do you
when
want
I go
me to
outside
read?
the fucking real
I'm
world.
Would you guys like me to read?
maybe we'd
Stop.
care. Maybe we'd care.
Stop.
Maybe we'd.
Stop. Would you like me to read some of the DMs I've gotten recently? I promise you we can compare them, and I promise you ain't
Are they
gonna
about
like
your?
them.
Are they
They're
about
about
your
finding-
little pussy?
They're about
Sexism.
finding-
Don't read
They're about
Don't read
finding
mine.
me, cutting my
Don't read
balls
mine.
off, killing me.
Those
me,
those
all
aren't based
these
around
things.
sexism, are they? We have an
but what's
additional.
that?
Oh, it's so
we
it's, so
have
it's
slut
okay, right? That's
shaming,
cool.
and there are
No, no, no,
additional
wait,
issues
we're
when
talking
you're
about
a
a different
woman
thing.
in this
Kelly,
situation.
You're preaching to a
women get
deaf
those.
choir.
I will
Women
say,
get those too.
My
I
ears
will
do not work
say,
on this topic.
I will say that when you're a woman, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you are, if you partake in sex work, you're a slut. You have father problems. If you don't partake in sex work, you're a slut. You have father problems, and you're a prude, and you're gonna die alone, and you're never gonna have children.
We also
So-
get
You don't
rape
get
and
the-
death threats
and then you
as
don't
well.
get the advantages.
Well, I don't know what the point of
Well,
that
that's-
is.
that was-
We
that
get
was my
rape
question.
and
Accept that if you
That
come
was-
if you come into these spaces right where lots of people are watching you on the internet, some of
You
those people
deserve
aren't
it.
going to like you. No, you don't deserve it. But
This
some
has
of those
nothing
people
to
are
do with
opening
being
up to
liked.
some of those people are not going to like you, and you need to accept that. And yeah, you might get like naughty messages sometimes, but who gives a fuck? Like I don't
This
understand
isn't
why
about
you
being
like
liked.
to
If you
accept
talk
something.
How
to
do you have
me-
that opinion, but you're anti-deepfake and porn? That doesn't make a ton of sense.
Hey,
Wait, hold on. These are
Dooby,
different. Hold on.
first
to me,
of all,
these are
Dooby,
different.
are
I
you
like
talking?
insults, all right? Especially if they are creative. Very good, very funny. I don't really enjoy like one IQ sexism in the chat at me. That's not enjoyable. That's
It's
stupid.
Twitch. It's gonna.
It's not original. I'm just saying, but that's the thing that women get, right? Is sexism on top
Men
of the
get
other
that
things that
too,
you
though.
talk about.
Like people
what?
in general on
No.
the internet get
You
lots
don't
of
get
insults.
slut shamed.
Okay,
Men don't
that's not
deal
true.
with
I'm
all
not
of
getting
this.
Do you not
Okay,
think we
maybe-
experience
maybe-
sexism
men
in
get
different
being
ways?
a
coerced
woman
into
on
being
the same
incels,
things we do.
and
So you don't
people
feel-
accuse me of
Being
having
a
like,
woman
small
on the
dicks.
internet-
This happens all the time.
Being a woman
That's
on the
not the
internet
same,
is
though.
so different to being a man on the internet, and I don't even.
Just
The
so
ladies
you
here
know-
cannot convince them because they are men and they can't see it.
There are
Anyway.
pros
Wait,
and
wait,
cons.
wait,
to
wait,
this. Hold on,
wait,
the
wait,
reality
wait,
is
Like, I don't want you
women
to feel
typically
alone
can
in
get
the
can
death
get away
threats.
with
I get them too.
oh god,
So-
women on the internet. Hold on, yeah, there are some cons, but there are a lot of privileges too. right? So
Sure.
women get a ton
Nobody
of
said
benefits
that there wasn't.
just
Nobody
for
said that.
existing on the platform.
Sure,
Right? So
sure.
let's-
We get
so-
to
so
make
I don't
money. We get to
understand-
make
I
money.
don't
We get
understand-
attention,
please.
but at what cost?
Yes. Okay. Well,
Right.
the
There's a
cost.
greater
Some people are
cost
gonna
for
like you.
women
Some
than there
people will
is for
say mean
men.
things to you. Who
There's
gives
a
fuck?
greater cost for women than there is for men, though,
I don't
even
think
if we
that's
have
Wait.
privileges. But what
Okay,
I was
so
gonna
wait, wait,
say,
wait, can I-
what I
can
was gonna
say
say,
one word really quick?
I will. Smith, shut the fuck
I
up.
will
What
cut
I was going to say.
your breast off.
What-
I'll cut your breast off.
Yo, we can't have that. No, for fucking seriously, we can't have like even jokes about that. No.
He's gonna trans me.
All
Okay,
right.
Wow.
No, we
He's
got.
gonna
Okay, I will
trans
shut this
me.
shit down. Like we
In
can't have that
Minecraft,
shit.
feel
I
about
will
that laugh.
do it, and I won't. Whatever.
But I would hate it. No,
Jesus
but what I was
Christ,
gonna
no, for
say
real.
was,
Like for real,
is the
you
reason
you're like I just this is
he gets
important.
it.
Wait,
He gets it.
okay, do you
I
though?
get it.
I want to make fucking sure.
Yeah, look at how sad he looks. He looks like a sad little weasel. He
Okay.
gets it. But as I was gonna say was, are we taking this so seriously because of women's sexual repression? Is that why we're taking it so seriously?
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of it is like it's like kind of comes from this kind of like schizophrenic understanding we have about like sexuality and women in general,
Yeah.
where women are encouraged to make themselves sexually available, but also shamed if they do.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, to speak to the man's experience, like the other side is that I sexualize myself on the internet, and I both get none of the benefits or none of the negative side effects that women get.
But that's
gotta
just
ask
because you're weird.
Like with the
You gotta be
prevalence
less
of
weird.
OnlyFans, it feels like with the prevalence of things like OnlyFans and a do-it-yourself sex work that we've kind of normalized putting yourself on camera naked as a societal norm. It's not exactly the source of shame that it was even 20 years ago, right? The vast majority of people have
That's
at the
not true.
very
Wait, and
least.
wait, what do you mean? It's not the source
What
of
do you mean,
shame
what do
because
I
your circle of like lefties are like, hell yeah, queen, because
fuck
I
are you
can't get
talking about?
jobs.
My
I can't
circle of
put where I
lefties?
work on an apartment lease
You have
agreement.
no idea what
I
you're talking
cannot-
about. My circle of no. If
You're
we
right, I have
had
no idea what
a
I'm talking about,
social
ever.
stigma similar
you
to
do.
the one that we did 20 years ago, women would feel embarrassed about putting their OnlyFans handles in their fucking Instagram bios.
Women
but
still
they
feel
lot of them
fucking
do.
embarrassed about that. What the fuck are you talking about,
Yeah, a lot of
retard?
them do. What do you
Women do
Are
feel
you trying
embarrassed
to
about
say
that.
that women don't have a different experience to men? This is just a stupid argument. 'cause you know that that's not true.
Where the fuck did that come from? No, I'm saying that as a society, we have largely normalized putting
No, we haven't.
yourself on camera
To
naked.
you, because you have a
No, not to
pornified
me.
brain.
No,
To a
Lamb.
because-
greater
that's because
society,
people
I'm sorry. If you guys have ever left your fucking house, especially my experience as a sex worker, I know about it more than you do. I cannot put my
No, you
job
don't.
on a lease. You're retarded. Cannot put my job on a lease agreement. I have to be weird around my fiance's parents, right? My my children's teachers are gonna look at me differently. Like, it's the same fucking stigma, just repackaged with like a leftist, like, hee hee. Good, go you, girl.
I think it's
I get
okay
the same
to
That's
say.
fucking
such a crock of shit.
I think it's okay that there's
Man
it's-
moment.
it's-
Stop
Can
it,
I
stop
fucking say
it.
something,
Let
for
Kelly,
fuck's
let
sake?
Kelly go. Let Kelly go, then Stardust. Kelly, then
I
Stardust.
think
Go
it's
ahead.
okay to say that there is slightly less stigma and improvement without saying that that doesn't mean that there's still a fucking lot of it. Like, just because it's got a little tiny bit better, so what? That doesn't mean we don't suddenly deal with a bunch of shit. Like,
Lessened.
I think it's getting better.
slightly, but the stigma will always be there, and it's still
Yeah. I think
stratospheric.
the past
And
15 years have been
Back when
nice.
people got their nudes leaked in the era of like the first camera phones and stuff, this was a level of trauma just on the social scrutiny of putting yourself in that position that is unlike anything that we see now. There is a sense now that like if you allow your information or your nudes to like get out because you're irresponsible with them, that like that you're being irresponsible with them is largely like what the problem is. If you monetize them, that's largely embraced by the infrastructure and cultural like apparatuses that we have that would normally have shamed these things in the past. This is just
The fuck are you
100
talking-
miles
Of
from
your
what, like,
circle,
completely-
retard, in your echo chamber.
Yeah.
I don't
think
live
it's
in a
just
for
circle.
you.
You think it's not?
Kids
Hold on.
are
You think of a
dipshit.
high
I am
school
not a
girl? You think of
fucking
a high school
lefty.
girl's news get leaked to her classmates? You think what they're going to be talking about is how irresponsible she was? Really? Like that?
No,
What are
idiot.
you
they'll
saying?
be making fun of her for sure.
Irresponsibility is an excuse for people to dumpster on other people. It's like, oh, it's your fault. It's
So
just,
I'm
it's
still
blatant.
having, I'm still having,
factor in
just
it.
real
It's
quick,
not an excuse
just real
for
quick,
it. It
I'm
never
still
has
having
been,
a
but-
problem. My personal problem is I think like we're saying that all these bad things happen and then pretending it's somehow like less when it happens to men. I was talking to someone last night, right? Who, when they were in high school, they were a man. They had someone photocopied their face onto some gay pornography of them getting railed, right? Like in some horrific kind of sex act. Posted it all over their school. He was made fun of.
I don't think it's less
He
when
was
it's
denigrated.
First
Like
of
it
all,
may
there's a
be
couple of things
happen,
here.
it may happen less often, but to
There's
act
a,
like it
no,
does.
let me explain this to you because I can make it very succinct for you. So the reason why that was a problem and why you have an emotional attachment to it is because of it being gay, right? So the act
Oh
of
my
taking
God.
no. I need you to listen to me. The act of taking something, like taking a penis inside of you, is much different than giving it. In the gay community, we see this. In society, we see this. And if you disagree, you need to read a fucking book.
I
You need to look
disagree
around you.
because you
It would've been
cannot
the
tell
same
me.
thing.
Stop.
It would've been the
Everyone,
same.
shut the
Listen,
fuck up
let me
for a
finish.
minute.
Let me finish. No, let me finish because I'm not done. You
my
know
God, hurry.
that when a man says that his body count is 50 and when a woman says that her body count is 50, it is seen differently by everyone who's fucking onlooking.
You don't get
know
to
that
tell
is true,
me.
and it's because of sexual repression politics
You
within
don't get
women.
to tell me how I nor that other man feels. You just don't. And when you
No,
say
I know
it's
that that's
only
sad
because,
for you. I know,
Right, stop.
I know that that's still
Stop.
violating. It's a
Stop.
societal
Okay.
impact.
Stop or you will be
You
stopped.
It is
obviously like having your biases reinforced by the media
I-
that you consume. and it's
Stop,
fucking
all of you.
No.
Oh my God. Can I just
No.
fucking respond on my own fucking
Oh.
channel? I will mute. I'm trying really hard not to, but I will start muting people. And I hate to do it, but I will. So I will just say that again, like had it been any sort of even if it was just a solo shot, right, of someone's face and posted all over in someone's high school, that is horrific to any guy, to most men.
Bullshit.
Most you
Do
don't.
you think he would have been?
Oh my
do you think
God.
he would? He thought it was horrific if they photoshopped him fucking a really hot model.
Yes, it would be a violation.
Bullshit.
You
Bullshit.
do not get to tell me
society-
how I
you
feel.
think
You do
it'd
not
be
get to
seen-
tell me
Lav
how I
Lav
feel.
is absolutely
You just
correct
don't.
here. Right? Because
But she's
to most
reducing it
people,
to that.
to most people, when sex is something that happens to women, right? It's something that is done to them, whereas it's something that men do. So the reason that the situation that you put forward was embarrassing is because he was the thing being done something to, right? He was the one taking a dick. If there was a hot model, him railing a hot model instead of him being railed, that he would have been totally fine with it.
That would
And
still
most
be
guys
a
would-
If he was on the
violation.
top, it would have been
And
the
it would
same. If he
still
was on
be-
the top, it is the gay thing.
the reaction would have been fucking night and day, and you know this.
No,
Yeah,
I
If he was on the top,
absolutely
putting
don't.
the dick in the guy's ass, it would have been the same.
Feelings are valid. Feelings are valid. You can still feel like that is a violation. I'm not saying that it's not a violation because it absolutely is, and that doesn't change because you're a man. But I'm saying that the societal impact in the way that people treat you, in the way that you're treated by people, if something like that gets out, so exponentially different. Fucking Steven, literally Destiny's nudes came out like what? Fucking years ago, like a whole fucking display of them, and no one fucking talks about it. If that happened to Melina, they'd be posted every fucking day for years. That is just how it works. Like, unfortunately, even though it's violating, and I'm sure he felt extremely violated from it, it's just the way that the fucking world is.
I
That's
want to
because he
point
doesn't
out. Hang
center
on,
his
could I just
power around his sexuality,
something
though.
real
That's because he
fast?
doesn't center his power around his sexuality, which is the way women are encouraged to present themselves in society.
Maybe that's an
but
aspect
that's just
too.
a symptom. That's just a symptom of the patriarchal society that we live in. Right? It's not. That's not something you should point at and be like, oh,
that
this
can
is-
be
it's
done
good
to you
thing
as a
that
woman
women-
just by existing, right? You don't
Yeah,
necessarily have to
absolutely.
be sexual, and they'll do it to you
True.
anyway. But the
They'll do it
point
to you.
is,
You might as
I
well
don't want to
make
get
money.
into this thing where it's worse for women. I do think it's different, and I think the societal reaction is usually different, and it can be bad being different. Like when teachers take advantage of their male students, like they'll be like, "Oh wow, you got to fuck that 20-year-old hot teacher," when that was fucking like rape and child abuse, right? It's not good that society reacts in these ways sometimes, but there
is
is a
different.
difference.
Yeah,
that
no,
we
you're
can't
right.
just sit there and not say there's not a
You're-
difference.
you're
But
right.
that doesn't
It is a
mean
difference.
I think it's nice that
I
those things are done
understand.
to
I
men too,
understand.
and they will probably be treated really poorly, like a laughing stock or whatever. And homophobia
But
is a thing.
let
So
me-
if they're fucking a guy,
let me put a-
yeah, it's like bullying and
To
shit.
use
right?
the example that Lav used, right? When Destiny's nudes were leaked, when Destiny sang, there was no sympathy. No one fucking cared, right? Because it's a guy, we could just laugh it off. It doesn't affect him, right? Ha ha ha.
He cared, but
when
nobody.
it did
but
happen,
nobody
stop,
made a big deal
stop.
either.
Okay, I will stop you till I'm done. Okay, so when it did happen to women, people care. People come out of the woodworks like, oh, we support you. They have a support structure that men simply do not when this happens to them. That is
I mean, people are here talking
things are
hypothetically when I don't even think they knew Stephen back then. So this isn't exactly right. Like, I do remember it happening, and he did get like a lot of shit for it, and he was dealing with a lot of interpersonal drama at the time, which was pretty shitty within relationships and stuff. So people did dumpster on him for a while, and it did get brought up for a while. It's not like he didn't get any negativity from it. So yeah, he did.
He got harassed. It was reposted on Reddit over and over again until he had to post something on Reddit, and it got uploaded to the top, and then they took it down. But he was getting it reposted over and over again. There was even a subreddit that was dedicated to spamming it, I'm pretty sure, if I'm recalling correctly. So yeah, no, he definitely got harassed by it. And I also want to kind of reiterate what KellyJean is saying is, you know, we can acknowledge that the way that society reacts to men and women in these situations is different, but I don't want to take away the way that that men are uniquely hurt and the way that women are uniquely hurt.
I don't think that anyone was doing that. I'm just saying that there is a focus on women's purity that affects their lives in a much different way than it affects men, because people do not care if men are chaste and pure.
Okay,
Which I'm sure that they harassed him. They sexually harassed him with those photos, but he wasn't denigrated as a human being because of those
I
photos.
have to take a bio break. Stardust is in charge for the minute I'm going to be gone.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Stardust, I got a point on this.
Okay.
Can I get a point on this before we move somewhere else?
I will give it to you, Tuna Chip, but it looked like Portland wanted to say something really quick. I want to give him a chance, and then I'll give it to you.
You're good, guys. My brain's about to fall out of my ear.
Okay. All right. Then Tuna Chip, go ahead. Go ahead.
I need to imagine Whick
and then
taking a
Dooby.
piss or taking a shot.
So let's kind of build a bridge here, because it is just strictly true, although I think it's for a different reason, that when women in a normal, quote unquote, sexual embrace, if that's being made fake or that's being exposed, even if it's real, that is more, that it affects them and it defames their character more, because in the world right now, sex, just normal sex, the type of sex that most people have, heterosexual sex, is considered more defaming of women than it is for men. Yet, nonetheless, there are forms of sex that are more defaming for men than they are for women. Lesbian porn has a little bit less of a tinge. Gay porn and the experience of being dominated, that is itself creating all kinds of harassment. But the deepfake problem doesn't extend just to porn. The fact is that as long as deepfake technologies are out here, the same type of big consequences that are happening to women are going to happen to men too, in the form of them doing things, not necessarily sexually, but criminal and or, you know, you could make like I said earlier, you could make a deepfake video where a man is raping a woman, and that could potentially not only ruin his entire life, bring him into the court, but it would at least get him socially exiled if it was to be large enough. The conditions are different, but God damn it, the consequences are the same magnitude when it's the right form of harassment.
Great. So why do you support deepfakes?
I'm anti-deepfake.
Yeah, he's been anti-deepfake.
The fuck? When did that happen?
I think
the whole time.
I feel like you're the worst anti-deepfake advocate ever.
But I think he's just like, yeah, it's bad, but and also let's not legislate. I'm a little confused.
No, he's saying it's okay to be
no,
like,
just for personal
private.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's bad to do it. I think it's bad to use it and to disseminate it. I think that the government has a vested interest in really, really surveilling, and I know they literally do because they already have many bills and they have much money supporting this, but figuring out exactly what deepfakes can do, how to decrypt them, how to know what is real and fake, because if we don't pay enough attention to these deepfakes, we're going to get to the same instances we did with the deepfake cheerleader story, where there are false positives, false negatives bringing people to arrest for things they haven't done. And that's only what the government can do. What the government can not do, unfortunately, is change the collective consciousness, because we are losing faith in empirical data. The fucking Andrew Tate abuse videos being called deepfake because now deepfake is this thing that's at everybody's fucking mind. This is going to create permanent damage to people's ability to trust the media, to trust the courts, to trust the government. There's no world where deepfake is allowed to just propagate unregulated without it affecting people massively. But here's the problem. You can't realistically regulate what people do in private.
Okay, gang. We have circled the drain on this for a bit. We have had a grand discussion. I want to give everyone here a chance to have a closing statement and to give their closing thoughts and to tell people where they can find them, etc., etc., etc. Today's been a lot, okay? It's been a lot. Thank you for putting up with this, gang. It's yeah, it's been a panel. Thanks for coming. Dooby, go ahead. Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm Dooby. I help run the politics server on Discord. Discord.gg/politics. We do AMAs and shit. Yeah, it's a good time.
Oh, and just to be clear,
also Destiny will be on there tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Awesome.
Eastern. If you guys want to yell at him about it.
Go check him out on the Discord server. But real quick, we are not ending. I'm just ending the closed portion. Any of these people can stay if they'd like. If not, that's fine. But I'll be opening it up to my audience if you want to come in. But anyway, next up we have KellyJean, please.
I would rather none of these people in the chat come and find me, quite frankly, with all the shit that they're fucking at me right now.
I want to be clear, just that. I want to be clear. If you come on,
I'm good. I'm gonna pass on the advertising.
You're an asshole. Yeah, just
Surprisingly based.
Okay, passing on the advertising. Well, thank you for being here, and that's a pretty kitty.
No worries.
Okay, next up we have Phemoid is what you go by now, I believe.
You can call me anything. Yeah, I'm Phemoid, formerly known as Lav. My name's Leah. Rising from the ashes. I'm getting back into, you know, streaming. Probably not super political though. But maybe. Who knows? I love to self-harm. And yeah, are we giving like final statements on this, or do we?
If you want, confused. It's up to you.
Oh, yeah, final statements. Is you know, jack off to things that don't make other people feel bad. I think that's good.
I want to let you all know that
you
anything.
Stop!
Portland,
feel
stop!
Stop!
making this personal. You
stop.
Wait, what do you mean? I said.
Stop! We're on closing statement. Oh my God! Stay for the open if you want to. But I will say that anything you jack off to, I will feel bad for. So no more jacking off, gang. Portland, go ahead.
All right.
Consent to all of it. I was right about all of it. You guys are wrong if you disagreed with me. Thanks.
I bet you have a lot of friends.
I leave my house all the fucking time. How about you?
Oh God damn it! We're going to Smeth. Smeth, please.
No, you're very angry.
All right. I'm
yeah, because you're annoying me.
Do you see a therapist?
Shut up.
I have an excellent therapist because I have an income. I don't have to sell my body.
Stay for the open. Just wait 5 minutes.
Simultaneously encouraging
Show your therapist this video.
One second. Simultaneously encouraging porn
Show your
consumption
therapist
while shaming Lav for making OnlyFans.
Shut
shit.
the
Yeah,
fuck
you're proving all of my points, bud.
Schizophrenic shit.
You're
Porn is
proving
great, but
all
if you
of
do it,
my
I'm gonna shame
points.
you for it. You
Oh
stupid.
God, I hate you, Smeth.
Guys,
You have the floor.
I don't care if the two
Alright,
of you
yeah, I know you don't care.
think I've proved your point or not.
Your brain
You
is fucking
couldn't
fried, but you
explain
need to
your
come.
point.
Wait.
Yelling.
I'm
help.
Smeth. I'm Smeth. I'm real Smeth. Real Smeth. You can get a dose of your Smethadone. You can get some Smethamphetamine at Real Smeth. I put it in the fucking YouTube or Twitch chat. That's my YouTube. That's where I stream. That's where I put my videos. And I think that free speech reigns above all. So I think that means deepfakes should. I'm gonna think about the most immoral things, and you can't stop me. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, though. So
You don't actually believe in free speech.
Next up, we have Stardust.
Well, this panel has been absolute cancer. Thank you for hosting it, Whick. I appreciate you putting yourself through this type of torture. I just like to reiterate that I hate every single one of you on this panel. I hope all of you.
You're not edgy enough to pull this off, Stardust. I appreciate you trying.
I hope. Okay, can you shut the fuck up, you stupid? Okay. So I hate every single one of you.
It's like being insulted by a cute little child.
Can you shut the fuck up?
No, seeing you're angry turns me on.
Sexualization of women.
Sexualized herself.
Yeah.
That's consent, guys. You're good to go.
Stop!
I hope all of you have very inconvenient things happen to you over the next 48 hours.
Finally.
From Stardust.net. Yeah.
From Stardust.net. Finally, we have Tuna Chip.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Tuna Chip. I'm here on Twitch. Tuna Chip, spelled just like the fucking stupid little logo. Yeah, final statement. Deepfakes and AI are a dangerous technology that is going to completely uproot the society, everybody's trust in the public sector. You are never, ever going to live in a world where those are not being regulated. They are going to ruin the world.
Wonderful. We
That's
know
it.
what's going to kill us in the end. It's going to be Skynet, but not in the way we thought, gang.